Good afternoon from Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez.
I'm Bobby McNeely. Matthew, it's a pleasure to join you here live in Auburn, Alabama. Very excited for President Trump's speech in Detroit, Michigan.
Exactly. So that speech starts at 2 o'clock today. It's a National Guard conference that he'll be traveling to. But this is already on the heels of a very busy morning just to start out the week. President Trump, of course, today at Arlington National Cemetery, as this is the third anniversary of that botched withdrawal out of Afghanistan. So him paying his respects today to our 13 heroes there in D.C.
And God bless him for doing so. God bless those families who lost loved ones because of a terrible botched withdrawal. Russia, China, enemy entities of the United States now having our technology because of that botched withdrawal. 13 young, wonderful service members losing their lives because of President Joe Biden's really lack of understanding, wherewithal. How can Vice President Kamala Harris even proudly proclaim that she can be commander-in-chief when they had such a botched withdrawal from Afghanistan? So sad.
The commander-in-chief is supposed to be, of course, the leader of the U.S. Armed Forces, and we saw that famous photo and video then of Biden looking down at his watch with that mask on when our service members returned to the States. So obviously a painful memory, but President Trump leading off the news cycle this week at the Arlington National Cemetery, and then he'll travel to the swing state of Michigan. Timely in a way, it's a National Guard conference, Bobby.
It will be really an interesting speech. These last few remarks, even going back to last week where I was fortunate enough to be in Asheboro, North Carolina with Megan Kohler, these speeches have been very focused on certain things he wants to approach from those 20 promises, from Agenda 47. And last week being national security, having a speech also on the economy, and now really focused on how to rebuild the military and how to take care of our military as they're serving, especially our brave National Guard members who are citizen soldiers out there on the front lines, called to active duty whenever there's a disaster or wherever there is conflict throughout the world.
Exactly. So today's National Guard conference in Detroit, it consists of Army and Air National Guard officers from all 50 states, 3 territories, and the District of Columbia. It's all to network, set their legislative agenda, and hear from America's civilian and military leaders. And of course, the conference started on the 23rd. It's ending today, but what a way to end it, Bobby, with a presidential address there at 2 o'clock today.
How exciting. And it's interesting to see this as it goes on with people who are traditionally not political, or different groups that President Trump reaches out to, whether it's the crypto conference, whether it is the military. He clearly is ready to take on that role again, and that's the difference we can see between President Trump and Vice President Harris. He has done the job. She is in office, but seemingly won't execute on the promises that are made in the Biden administration. Very interesting to watch that contrast.
Very unprecedented right now. There's a bunch of problems at hand, as you guys know, but they're the ones that are so-called in office, and they're addressing those problems, but they're talking about solutions. But what about right this second today, August 26th? Why not take care of some business?
Exactly, and she can walk over from her ceremonial office, which is the old Secretary of War's office. It's beautiful, it's ornate, it overlooks the Oval Office, and go right there to President Biden and say, I think you need to do X, Y, and Z. Clearly that hasn't really had that relationship throughout Biden's tenure as president. And I'm just floored by, we were talking earlier, the DNC and so many promises that almost seem to be eerily reminiscent of, if they actually believe in what they were saying, they probably would end up endorsing President Trump.
Exactly. That's what President Trump is standing for, a number of things, including freedom, but we know about the lies that we saw last week. I almost didn't even want to bring it up this week, man. It was that tough to watch.
It was really painful, and I just think about President Clinton saying, it's not the lies you have to listen to, it's the eyes. And I enjoyed Jon Stewart being back on The Daily Show. We talk a lot how comedy has to be brought into the culture again to make people laugh. You have to have an escape from what's going on in these difficult times. And he actually brought up a moment. He said, there were powerful speeches, if you're familiar with The Daily Show. So many powerful speeches. We have someone who fought sexual predators as a prosecutor talking about Vice President Kamala Harris. And then we had, oh no, and he showed a picture of President Clinton, so I got a chuckle from that.
Yeah, and then also talking about Tim Walz and others there. That was a great moment there over there at The Daily Show, but unfortunately a very left-leaning show still.
Right, absolutely.
But hey, comedy is still comedy. All right, so we do know that the great Mike Lindell will join us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network at 12:45, so soon we'll go to him. But then also we may have a soundbite from President Trump, who posted something on Truth Social about his visit today at Arlington National Cemetery, but also about the botched withdrawal some 3 years ago. And before we get to that, we'd like to thank our sponsors, especially the Birch Gold Group, a solid sponsor, but not only that, solid for gold, silver, precious metals. A lot of great information there with that info kit.
Yes, and you text Trump to 989898. Really, we've discussed 50 years of American foreign policy have completely changed under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The petrodollar was the world's reserve currency. Saudi Arabia used to trade with us. We were the leaders in that to have dominance on the world stage, but now they're working with the BRICS nations. It's Brazil, India, China, among others, and it's really putting America in a dangerous position, not only morally, militarily, but also financially. So this is a great way to protect you and your family in these very uncertain times.
Exactly. So text Trump to 989898. Get that info kit. Get that first step into it. To see what we're talking about here. I know you hear about it a decent amount on Right Side, but it's a great product that they have over there at the Birch Gold Group. And also in August, obviously this is the last week of August, free Fight Silver coin for this month only if you get one of the Birch Gold Group's products. So text Trump to 989898. All right, so Bobby, a lot of news to get to as we already started out the broadcast today, starting at 12 noon, as we take that live look in Detroit, Michigan. That's a National Guard conference where President Trump will be speaking at 2 o'clock, as you see there on your screen. And so many news stories to get to, including your reaction, Bobby, on the RFK Jr. endorsement. That was pretty awesome.
Very exciting, a wonderful rally on Friday in Glendale, Arizona. And of course, we had Mike and Christina out there braving that heat. And I had an opportunity to live out there in the summertime in Arizona a few years ago. It is toasty. So that was really great to see that. Of course, people being shuffled in safely, getting some cooling time in air conditioning before they went into that rally. But RFK really being the unity figurehead. I'm very excited to see when President Trump takes office, where will he appoint Bobby Kennedy? Will it be at the CIA? Will it be at the EPA? Perhaps Health and Human Services? He has bravely fought big corporations on environmental issues, bravely fought big pharma on vaccine issues throughout his career, and he has been a Kennedy who will buck the system in order to really tell the truth and do what's right. A classic liberal, very interesting man, and someone who's unafraid to go after and look for the truth. I think he'll hold a key position in the new Trump administration.
100%. Always good to add somebody like that to Team Freedom. So we do know that President Trump, he made that announcement on Friday that he will establish a presidential commission on assassinations to be headed by RFK Jr. with full power to declassify all documents related to JFK, RFK, and J13. So just already getting to work there with President Trump.
I think it's crucial to do this. It's all about the American people knowing what their government is doing behind the scenes, not holding that from them. You think of the Warren Commission and even Gerald Ford, that many people on Republican and Democrat ranks throughout their 10 years in Washington, the bureaucracy hiding this for years and years, many questions coming up as to what actually did take place in Dallas, what did take place in Los Angeles with two Kennedy brothers dying, being murdered only 5 years apart, and who were two change agents. Although Democrats, they were people that really went up against that Washington, D.C. establishment, the military-industrial complex, as Eisenhower warned about, and what a wonderful way, peacefully and patriotically, to finally bring justice and perhaps close a chapter on a dark period in American history.
Definitely. And so we heard that announcement in Glendale, Arizona, and more specifically when declassify all documents related to JFK, RFK, and J13. So that information there, a post that I saw from Jack Posobiec on Truth Social as well. So that's a specific post from him. So a lot of news, of course, just on Friday. And then over the weekend, let's just walk right into Saturday. Hezbollah attacking northern Israel over the weekend. You've got the Russia-Ukraine war ongoing. I guess we know that President Trump didn't start any new wars, and it's peace through strength, and boy, do we need him back.
No question about that. And what gives me hope in the process is we know that President Trump has been on the phone with Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Zelensky, Bibi Netanyahu came to visit him at Mar-a-Lago. They had a great discussion. And of course, First Lady Sharon Netanyahu, a very good relationship with not only Melania Trump, but President Trump as well. So you see that world leaders are almost anticipating a return of President Trump and the likelihood that he will be the 47th President of the United States. And that gives me some hope in this process, too, because I know a lot of people are nervous out there. I know of one person who actually had to go to the hospital for anxiety over these really trying times. And they are scary times because inflation is up, the cost of living, food, groceries, just the gasoline lines are so long to go to where you might want to be in order to make that a cost-effective choice. As I've mentioned to you, the Costco I go by, that will be 20 to 30 minutes really from when it opens till when it closes, and it takes out a chunk of time because people are just trying to save their hard-earned money.
Exactly, and you know what the difference is sometimes 10, 15, 20 cents. Right. Instead of waiting at a different gas station, that's what we're dealing with right now. And as you see there, American Financing, a great group as well, as we'll be thanking them soon. But Bobby, you were just talking about someone that was dealing with a lot of the anxiety with the whole situation. And before we continue with more of the news stories that are happening around, I was thinking about how there's college football around the corner, there's concerts all year round, there's comedy shows, they're fun, right? Streaming your favorite show, but you know, sometimes we know that how serious of the situation we are in this country, right? So it's almost which one do you focus on? It's like you wanna break away and have a good time, but then it's like, but we know that our country could be facing a thing like Venezuela or censorship that's happening in the UK. So what do you think about that? I mean, obviously we need to have a time of mental health to take a break, right?
Well, it's work-life balance, right? You know, and when we're excited about football, we're here in Auburn, Alabama, students just getting back to their regular classes, their attempt at the American dream as well. But even look at President Trump, who's handling so many crucial and tough issues on a daily basis, who just over a month ago almost lost his life to an assassin's bullet. He even takes time to play some golf. So I think that's good, whether it's church, the gym, being involved in the community, being involved with your family, making sure you're doing those things you love to do while paying attention to these ever-changing, very difficult times. It's important for your mental health.
Yeah, definitely got to disconnect, pray, meditate, hang out with friends and family, right? Go to a comedy show, go to a football game. But also it doesn't mean that when we go to these things that on our minds are how serious this election is some 72 days away. So yeah, God be with us, right?
Amen. And that's why you need to make a plan to vote. Here for us at Right Side Broadcasting, we'll be so busy in the coming days, and it's exciting to get to cover all this, and really is a privilege to cover the campaign. But most of us are talking about voting early or mailing in a ballot in our respective states, because come election day, we're going to be working hard bringing you that breaking coverage. And so make a plan to vote, and that's a big part of the Trump platform, where part of his 20 promises are, look, we have to get IDs and paper ballots, but we have to win first. So whatever the laws are in your state, take advantage of that, make a plan to vote. Get on out there and do that, because you might not know what will come 2 weeks down the road. And of course, with the fall season and sicknesses going around sometimes, always good to make that plan to vote before Election Day if you can.
Exactly. I mean, Carrie Lake even touched on that the other day, which was kind of surprising to me. She said, hey, vote early if you can. So, at the end of the day, obviously you can mail in or you can vote early, and then you can also vote day of. So President Trump talks about all three. So make sure you do at least one of them, of course. We already know that, and I know you guys will, as we are facing a huge fork in the road coming up here in November. To some more of the top headlines going on as we await President Trump at 2 o'clock there in Detroit, Michigan. This is a National Guard conference that he's speaking at. Of course, was in D.C. earlier and now on his way to Detroit, Michigan to speak to a bunch of great people there, National Guardsmen and women there in Detroit. The Telegram CEO arrested in France over the weekend as well. A lot being said on both sides about that in the sense of, hey, it's free speech, right? To have an encrypted private app that nobody can really look at, and that's a good thing, right? And then I've heard some other people say, well, if it's used to cause other crimes and that kind of thing, it's bad. So it's like there's this conversation going on online and elsewhere. So, Bobby, what do you think? I mean, at the end of the day, it's awesome to have an encrypted private messaging app like Telegram, but then again, other people say, well, you can't commit a crime on it, though.
Well, it makes me think of people like Edward Snowden, who was trying to get the truth out there, and then his government really targeted him. It's that deep state bureaucratic operation that's taking place. I was actually fortunate enough yesterday to have brunch after church with a gentleman, French-Canadian, actually now living in the Bahamas. And he's actually very involved in the crypto currencies, also several other businesses, and wants to become an American citizen, loves America, loves Western civilization, and had no clue about where I stood on things and started talking about, well, I'm the citizen of two communist nations, as he put it, France and Canada. And it was shocking to hear that coming from a French-Canadian citizen and how he truly feels about that. But it's been the loss of free speech. It's been totalitarian governments that really since COVID have not treated their citizens well. They've really removed any kind of God-given rights from them that they even did possess in those countries in past years. And I think of Canada, traditionally a very conservative nation, and that has changed under someone like Justin Trudeau.
Exactly. So the Western world, as Tucker Carlson was saying, there was darkness descending on the Western world. That on an X post that I saw the other day. So yeah, a lot going on as we know. We'll see how those developments wind up there for the Telegram CEO arrested in France. Pretty shocking news to many around the world. Before we continue some of more of the news topics, and of course, as we await, look at that, Bobby, a packed house there in Detroit, just like every time President Trump speaks.
A beautiful stage, and it looks like we have all 50 flags up there, 50 state flags, which is always fun to see that adorn a stage and to see our wonderful, beautiful country and all that it represents. But another packed house on a Monday afternoon for President Trump going to Detroit, Michigan. Clearly unafraid to speak in these traditionally blue Democrat cities.
Exactly. So he'll be in Detroit there at 2 o'clock. We do want to thank our friends at the Wellness Company. I actually have a couple of the kits here, Bobby, that they mailed in to us. So this is the medical emergency kit.
Very nice.
And the contagion emergency kit. So you can get one of these or both or more by going to makecaregreatagain.com. Use that promo code for 15% off. Always good. I mean, ivermectin, amoxicillin, the Z-Pack, all these great products there.
And this is all you need. God forbid there's another version of COVID-19. There's the bird flu, SARS, everything that can really make you sick. And this will make sure that you stay healthy. Dr. Peter McCullough, a gentleman who was canceled for his testimony not only before the Texas Senate, but on many different media outlets, bringing the truth to people, finally starting his own company and saying, this is what you need to keep your family safe. So makecaregreatagain.com, code RSBN for 15% off. This is a must as we're going into a very unpredictable time for America.
100%. That's the .com right there. MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Use that promo code for 15% off. I also have another a product I want to share with you guys. It's the free Trump book as well. This from Mike Huckabee. So I don't know, Bobby. Have you seen these yet?
Oh, they're great. They're outstanding.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know that this is the Kid's Guide to President Trump, but there's also, I didn't know that there was other ones too. How about Fighting Indoctrination? That's a good one. And American Greatness. So, freetrumpbook.com, an assortment and a variety of topics there for the youth. And Bobby, I've been talking about this all week last week, that this is actually good for adults too, in my opinion.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's really easy reading. It reminds me of any of those topics for dummies books.
Yes, exactly.
They're very simple, and you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
I learned when I was just getting out of college, I got a couple of those books when it came to bartending, and very basic principles that you can translate rather quickly. And these are great for that because you're really understanding complicated things. And as I mentioned, the DNC last week, if you actually watched it, President Obama, President Clinton gave really well-delivered speeches. But what was so interesting was it fell flat because it wasn't true to its core.
Right.
And a lot of the principles they were talking about, unity, bringing the country together, you'd think they actually end up endorsing President Trump because that's what he did when he was president, issues that really helped the middle class. And they claim to care about the middle class on the other side, but clearly their globalist communist policies will bury the middle class in the process.
Mike dropped by Bobby right there. I mean, 100%, exactly. And that's what we're up against, this fork in the road that I talked about earlier. It's not just us saying it. Everyone is saying it, especially in conservative circles. President Trump himself, Carrie Lake and others, MTG. There were so many people talking about this huge fork in the road. It's something that we haven't seen in our lifetimes. We have not seen this kind of extreme radical left agenda, which is more socialist, communist, and that kind of thing, taking on our party.
Well, and look at RFK Jr., look at Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard had supported Bernie Sanders back in 2016. And she was very brave on that stage when she ran for president in 2020 and called out Kamala Harris for her prosecutorial record and what she did, putting poor people in jail on minor drug offenses, really not helping anyone in that role where she could have been. Really, I like to call the DAs, they're kind of the Batmans in society. They are those dark knights watching over people to make sure that justice is delivered. And sadly, the vice president really failed in those roles when she was a prosecutor. And Tulsi Gabbard called her out on that, but someone who had supported Bernie Sanders coming onto the Trump train, believing in those populist issues that will make America great again.
Exactly. Moving on to some more topics here. 15 days from now, there will be a debate between the GOAT of debates, President Trump, taking on Harris. That's going to be, September 10th on Fake News ABC, right?
Right, Fake News ABC, September 10th. And of course, the vice president skipping the September 4th date for the Fox News debate. We'll see how that goes. I hope that President Trump will turn that into somewhat of a forum. And he had already pledged, he had called in to Brett Baer and Martha McCallum after the DNC coverage to say that I will be there September 4th. Hopefully she will show up and change her mind. But there's more of the flip-flopping from the other side. They say they'll do a debate, then they back out. So we're interested to see how that will go on Fake News ABC September 10th. The first presidential debate that is scheduled, but who knows, maybe something could change next week.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is in this news cycle. Things change a lot, but we're trying to stay on top of it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Speaking of that, there is a huge, very busy week ahead for President Trump, specifically as of right now on the schedule. Obviously, today's Detroit. Then on Thursday, he's going to go back to Michigan and Wisconsin. On Friday, he has a rally in Pennsylvania and a speech in D.C. later that night. So onward march, you know?
He's nonstop, and Megan and I fortunately got to see the 757 Trump Force One come in at a rather shallow angle right over the antique World War II planes that were the backdrop for the national security speech last week, if you were watching. And that was a really special moment to see that. And probably a clever thing that he might have told his pilot, can we do this? And then, of course, sir, we can. But it was really, I've never seen a 757 moving that closely to the ground. So that was an exciting moment. The entertainment factor on top of hardcore policy items, this president continuing to be an exciting caricature and figurehead of what is to come. America being great again as we approach January 2025.
Exactly, and I do recall when I was working in local news, I was covering something in Pennsylvania when President Trump was in office, and he flew in over with Marine One.
Wow.
And the music that was playing, and I forget the title, is it Creedence Water? I forget the song, I'll get it to you in a second. It was an amazing song, and he just flies over with Marine One and lands, and places going wild. So definitely knows, the entertainment as well, being an entertainer, but way more than that, a strong commander-in-chief and somebody that has led our country so brilliantly those first 4 years.
No question about it, and someone who really, I think, feels comfortable in these situations. He is unafraid to talk to adversaries. He is unafraid to reestablish friendships and discussions with those abroad, and that's really what our founding documents were meant to do. No entangling alliances, but also freely trade, freely discuss with the world, and in turn, lead by example. Truly, the candidate who wants to reestablish constitutional governance, a Republican form of government, not the party, but ruling by law and order, one nation under God. That's what President Trump represents, and that's why you see such a coalition of people like not only him, but RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, and all of the other great people who were in the cabinet. And I'm just thinking of people like Dr. Ben Carson, who will likely return, and so many others who did an extraordinary job during their tenure, who do not need those positions for their career, but rather wanted to serve the American people with their expertise.
So we want to thank you guys so much for watching here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you'd like to donate to the network, you can do so by typing RSBN to 801-801. You see that number there on your screen. Text RSBN to 801-801. And Bobby, when you were out there at Asheboro, North Carolina, why don't we talk about how awesome our camera ops are? You know, no matter the weather, no matter where, they're in that moment capturing it all.
This is an outstanding team, and their presets can be very early. Today was very early as well, and it's important because the security parameters have really expanded, and sometimes the wait lines are a little bit longer than anticipated because of everything that happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. But our Secret Service, local law enforcement doing an extraordinary job. But because of those reasons, preset could be very early, so we thank our crew for just being the utmost wonderful professionals, great team of professionals to work with here at Right Side Broadcasting, and they're able to bring all this excellent coverage to you in very hot end of the summer here. We're in the dog days, but also that beautiful sunshine. So daring the elements out there to bring you coverage of the 45th and soon to be 47th President of the United States.
And also a shout out to those working behind the scenes at the studio. When you see the graphics, when you see the different vantage points, the live look in Detroit, then here and all over the place, you know, there's just a lot going on. If you watched last week, quite the roller coaster. I mean, President Trump was in Vegas, then Arizona, then RFK made his announcement, so we had that. So many things. So if you like what you see here at Right Side Broadcasting Network and you do have the extra $1 or two, please text RSBN to 801-801. Let's shift over to Tax Network USA. Speaking of money, if you have any issues with filing or any back taxes, all you have to do is call that number, 800-357-1415. This group will actually help you along the way to get that taken care of. That's really good to have, isn't it?
Well, it's so important, and as you can see on the screen there, 87,000 new IRS agents since Joe Biden has taken office. There's been such an overreach by the federal government abusing American citizens, and what you have to do now is just settle your back taxes. Go to 800-357-1415, taxnetworkusa.com/RSBN. This is a great group of patriots who will make sure that you're not overpaying, nor are you being taken advantage of by our federal government.
Tax Network USA, there's that number, 800-357-1415. And Bobby, the band that I was referring to before when Marine One flew over with under President Trump's administration, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
That's it.
Now, as for the actual song name, I got to look on Spotify or Pandora or whatever. We'll figure it out. But always awesome to see that kind of thing. All right, so we have our camera in Detroit as President Trump will be speaking there at 2 o'clock Eastern time. And then if we have that soundbite from President Trump earlier in the day, our directors will let us know when that is happening. But we do know that President Trump will speak at 2. And then, of course, back to Michigan coming up later in the week. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So, Bobby, obviously, as we know, the National Guard, the Army and Air National Guard, all 50 states represented today in Detroit. Always good to see that.
Right. This is the man who is the right person for the job. President Donald Trump, peace through strength is his mission. Someone who really, I think, embodied that role of commander-in-chief so well. I can remember when he gave the speech to the Air Force graduates, the Air Force Academy, and he asked his generals, which I enjoy when he talks about that and dialogues with that during a rally, they said, "Sir, you have all these different options you can shake hands with the valedictorian and the person who got the last ranking in class or a few in between." And he said, "Well, can I shake all of them?" And then he did that, which was extraordinary to watch him shake each and every hand. And I believe we have some video of President Trump doing that is ready to play for you at home. And
actually that video is also about the Truth Social post from this morning, yes, talking about the 3-year anniversary of the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. So this is President Trump from earlier today on Truth Social.
Month marks the 3-year anniversary of the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Kamala and Crooked Joe's catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan has just been horrible for all of us. 3 years ago, Kamala and Biden's incompetence left 13 dead warriors, hundreds of civilians killed and grievously wounded, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment on the planet abandoned to the Taliban, right into the hands of the Taliban. It also left 45 incredible soldiers so badly wounded, the legs, the arms, the face, obliteration. As Vice President, Kamala bragged that she was the last person in the room. She was the tough one. She was the last person in the room during that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan decision. She repeatedly praised the decisions, and she said it led to a catastrophe, but it was worth it. The incompetence and weakness on display from the Biden-Harris administration was an insult to every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine who ever served in our U.S. military. As we mark this horrible occasion, we mourn with the families of the great American heroes who lost their lives 3 years ago, and we vow to never forget the supreme sacrifice they made for our country. America cannot afford 4 more years of Kamala Harris in the White House. She is a disaster. She's a radical Marxist. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed the state of California. Everything in her way she destroyed. She ran against Crooked Joe Biden and she lost. She was the first one out of 22 people. She was the first one to quit. She never even in the primary made it to Iowa. And this is not a person that should be running right now. She didn't get 1 vote. I'm not a fan of Biden at all. I thought he was the worst president in history. I think she's the worst vice president in history. But she got no votes. He got 14 million votes. They staged a coup. And something like that's not supposed to happen in our country. Under my leadership, our nation will be strong and respected like never before. And I will keep America safe. I will keep it safer than ever before. And if I'm not elected, I truly believe you're going to end up in World War III and you're going to end up in a depression, the likes of 1929. Thank you very much.
So that speech there, or that statement posted on President Trump's Truth Social and other places as well, talking about the 3-year anniversary to the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Also, Team Trump posted something literally 2 minutes ago about a statement from Vice President Harris. She said a statement saying 3 years ago today, outside of Kabul airport, an ISIS terrorist killed 13 American service members and more than 100 innocent Afghans and wounded many more. And that statement continues. But the Team Trump posted, well, Kamala bragged about being the last one in the room that made the decision leading to their deaths, but refused to attend the memorial service this morning in Arlington. All she could muster up on the 3rd anniversary is having one of her interns write a statement. So Team Trump, on top of that, rapid response right there from this statement from Harris. You know, why be a keyboard warrior and not actually have actions louder than words, and just go pay your respects to the people that lost their lives?
But we see this pattern with Kamala Harris, and almost seems to have enhanced what was the Obama-Biden foreign policy of years ago. I remember that President Obama did not visit Chris Kyle's funeral in that moment, and logistics do happen, things do happen, but you know, President Trump is someone who really not only reaches out to the people, but especially service members. And again, this is probably the largest contrast between him and the Harris-Walz ticket, is the idea that, well, cost of living is out of control. Biden-Harris caused that with inflation, but it's keeping America safe and strong abroad and locally by making sure that we have peace through strength. There could be no bigger difference between two major party tickets, at least in recent memory, when it becomes solely focused on foreign policy.
Exactly. And also President Trump, about 38 minutes ago on Truth Social, said, quote, "When is Comrade Kamala Harris going to start answering questions? She's a radical left, no fracking Marxist, and the public needs to know what she stands for, which is poverty and failure for America." Kamala refuses to do interviews because she has no confidence in her own level of intelligence, and now wants to change the rules of the debate on ABC fake news.
Right.
Wow. So we're seeing that there from President Trump 38 minutes ago. She basically doesn't want anybody to know how radically left she wants to take this country. Mm-hmm. Bottom line.
No question about that. And it's great to see President Trump calling her out on this, and I think appropriately. It's something we see out there, and specifically with fake news ABC, they will start their correspondent hits after a speech saying, oh, he attacked Vice President Kamala Harris again. Well, he's hitting her on policy. That's why he's calling her comrade, because she is pushing out communist talking points. And we're seeing this on a daily basis now. She's not someone who believes in free enterprise and free markets. She does not want to put America first. And I think it's an appropriate title given how different these tickets are. And I don't think it's a personal attack, but of course ABC will, they have an agenda and they have a narrative, and they like to push that out there. Exactly.
So we the people, and it's of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's what is supposed to be happening here. We've gotten so far away from that when it comes to what we're talking about. Can you believe we're even talking about the word communism in the United States of America?
It's really remarkable to see that. It's something that we had destroyed. We had destroyed the evil empire. If it wasn't for Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher and even John Paul II, these great leaders in American and world history saved Western civilization. And a lot of credit's due to even George H.W. Bush, our 41st president, who oversaw that ultimate toppling and falling of the Soviet Union, of course, peacefully and patriotically. That siren song of communism up front and in discussion once again, and sadly, right in the middle of our beautiful United States.
And then let's be real, communism or worse is on the ballot when it comes to the left versus the right. The right, we simply want a government by the people, of the people, and for the people, and the Constitution to continue to be the law of the land. We know what it's like to be an American. Sure, it'd be great if the world was like us in that way, and there are countries that support it. Hungary, right, with Viktor Orban, Jair Bolsonaro back in the day when he was president in Brazil, and other nations around the world. And let's be real, the people themselves around the globe, most of them want to be free. They don't want a social credit score. I saw this the other day. I couldn't believe it. I think actually it was France 24 was the international news outlet. And they did a very honest report about people in China and the fact that they would put their faces literally up at the movie theater for people that are doing things that are against the communist regime out there. And they would lose their social credit points, which would lose their bank accounts, which would lose their all this stuff, right? It's a messy world out there, Bobby, but we really have to understand that coming up for getting out the vote.
Well, as President Reagan said too that freedom is only one generation away from extinction, and I think we're seeing that playing out in real time here with a globalist communist agenda, mixed in with some fascist policies. I mean, if we really look at Governor Walz and what he's tried to implement in Minnesota, he signed legislation to remove minors from their home if their parents don't want them going through transgender transitioning or gender therapies puberty blockers that could permanently ruin them. And he was going to have the government remove them. And he had local sheriffs say, you can't do that. It's an unenforceable law that you just signed. A bizarre time and something that is not traditional of what was the 1960s Democrat Party under the Kennedys.
100%. I mean, that looked a lot better than what it is even to today. All right, so American Financing, one of our great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see those three numbers, 854? Well, you can save up to $854 a month by using American Financing. You got to go to that number there, give them a call, 888-402-0299, using some of the house equity and that kind of thing. But they'll help you out to save that kind of money. Always good.
Well, and $854 per month, I think, could help anyone right now. The cost of food, groceries, you have gas, just skyrocketing under the Biden-Harris regime. Credit card debt is skyrocketing in America. Over 67% of Americans have immense credit card debt, and doing this is going to help you on a monthly basis, because if you're stuck in a situation like that, it could take you years to pay off these cards, take you years to deal with your mortgage. So please go give our friends a call over at American Financing, 888-402-0299, and save an average of $854 per month. I think that's smart.
Definitely is. So it's American Financing. You see that number on your screen. Please give them a call. Great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. We've been on the air for, 44 minutes straight right now. We talked about a lot of the news topics of the day. So if you missed any of that, if you want to scrub back after President Trump's speech and check out any of our commentary, great. If you don't, all good. We do know that you're here for President Trump at 2 o'clock, though, and thankful that you guys are with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. At any minute now, we will be joined by Mike Lindell. Obviously a wild week in the DNC just last week with Mike. Do you know, Bobby, he shaved his mustache and he went in there and, had a whole hat on and glasses. You saw that, right?
I heard about this. I did not see him specifically do that, or I might have saw him and I didn't recognize him. But that's exciting to see what footage and what information he might have gotten on the inside, because you had Chicago again, a place known for civil unrest at times, like the 1968 Democrat Convention, but the Free Palestine movement, clashing with police in Chicago during the DNC, burning American flags, arguably the real Democrat militia out there doing their bidding as their party leaders were inside at the United Center, cozy and well taken care of. So interesting to watch all of that. And even people like Chris Cuomo, I've been very interested to see how based he's become. He was talking about how the different skybox views were going for over $1 million or so. So he said, is this really democracy here? This person did not go through a primary. Of course, they have several big donors. It really makes you ask some questions.
Exactly. I mean, she was installed as the Democratic nominee, as you know, Bobby. No American, 0 Americans voted officially for Harris. 0. And now she is the DNC's nominee.
And that's why I thought RFK Jr. so eloquently spoke on that just prior to President Trump speaking in Las Vegas on Friday evening, then them coming together in Glendale, Arizona to speak together on the topic. But Bobby Kennedy mentioning that this person did not go through a primary, that once again, the third time in a row, a party had rigged a system for the person they wanted to put in that did not have scrutiny up against the American people who employ this job, this ever important job of being president of the United States. And so much so, it really forced Bobby Kennedy not only out of the Democrat primary to run as independent, but to finally say, you know what, for the future of the country, we have to get behind President Trump and save America and make it great again.
That's the thing that I think RFK Jr. really realized. He's like, well, what's going to be best for our country moving forward? Is it freedom? Is it the Constitution? Is it we the people? And he said yes. And he said, I'm going to go on that stage there. And also I saw a report about the Foo Fighters' Hero song. So the Foo Fighters said, oh, we didn't give them permission to do that. But then they started to be quiet now because the Trump campaign purchased a license to play all kinds of music.
Right.
This campaign is really kicking butt out there.
It really is, and it's firing on all cylinders. And it's exciting to see that, just the energy and the preparedness as we go into what is just over 70 days left until the U.S. presidential election. And this does change the dynamics electorally. So with RFK coming out of the race, certain ones go more into the Trump column, certain ones go more into the Harris column, and that can change as we go week to week here. But this opens up Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona more for the Trump camp, especially with recent polling. North Carolina and Georgia, though, going more towards that Harris direction. And I was just reading some recent news with The Hill and Mitch Landrieu, who is leading, he's the Harris Waltz co-chair and leading some efforts in Georgia, saying that they are 100% committed to carrying Georgia in this process, that they're focused on Georgia. They got new energy when the vice president took over. This is what Mitch Landrieu said, referring to the moment President Biden stepped aside and Harris emerged as the party's presumptive nominee. And that was all back on July 21st, something that we heard mumbles of, but we knew Nancy Pelosi was working those phones with donors. And again, a Democrat national coronation. It's laughable because they then liked Joe because he stepped aside, but they were clearly ready to use the 25th Amendment. He was clearly forced out, and they've been concealing this for a long time, but it became very vivid to the American people in the last few short weeks.
Exactly, and you were talking about Michigan and Wisconsin, and of course this Thursday, President Trump having a stop in both states. So
right.
We'll have an RSBN doubleheader this Thursday, both in Michigan and Wisconsin. And then on Friday, President Trump will hold a huge rally in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and then a speech in D.C. that night. So a lot ahead this week, starting out the week right here, coming on to a 2 o'clock speech in Detroit, Michigan. Before we continue some of the commentary and before we take that live look there in Detroit, Michigan, this is Bobby McNeely. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're with you, the people. We love you, America, and I'm glad that you're with us. We're just doing this together as we are, 72 days until the election now.
It's coming up so fast and furious. This year is going by fast, and so much has changed in the last several months and several weeks in regards to this election, something that we haven't experienced in a long time. Whether you have a millennial candidate who is Senator J.D. Vance, that is President Trump's running mate, who has been out there really holding his own and really building on that message of his hillbilly elegy, growing up in Appalachia, dealing with an opioid crisis, knowing people who have suffered so much because of federal government really exporting jobs and getting rid of our manufacturing base in the Midwest. This is a huge part of the campaign as they focus on those crucial states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, these states having built the backbone of the American middle class. It's really a fascinating time. And of course, in Butler, Pennsylvania, President Trump taking a bullet for America and bravely standing there saying, fight, fight, fight. We lost a hero in that process. Corey Campitor, we heard from his wife recently saying that he had joked around before that rally, saying that President Trump might invite him up since he's a firefighter. And we see this on a regular basis with law enforcement. President Trump had, I think, 30 different sheriffs and local law enforcement, including Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, who's running for governor of North Carolina, up on stage with him. This man loves law enforcement. He just received the endorsement of the Arizona Police Union on Friday and continues to rack up so much support from those amazing Americans who are in uniform, ready to put their lives on the line to defend their communities.
And President Trump always taking time to take photos with law enforcement from throughout the country. They always want to meet them. They always are smiling. Some of them are in SWAT gear, just, thumbs up. They don't care. They just love President Trump and what he stands for. And so that's why we see that happening out there, of course. And you were talking about Butler, PA. Looking forward to hearing when that return to Butler is going to be. He did say in October there will be a rally. Talk about chills, right? Talk about how powerful that's going to be, with the power of God there, with President Trump there, with the people there, and then of course much heightened security now that the Secret Service director has stepped down. And it's going to be quite the day when he returns to Butler, Pennsylvania. And I actually was watching some of the coverage just the other day, just to, it's been about a month and a half now, and just watching what that was like, and seeing him on stage, and then seeing how the Secret Service took him away, and how he said fight, 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 and what a powerful, historic day that was. But man, he comes back stronger than ever.
It's a natural instinct, and someone who's clearly a strong leader, and you really can't fake that. You can't make it up. So President Trump, unafraid of going out there, and even last week in Asheboro, North Carolina, the first outdoor rally since then. Secret Service now having him surrounded by plexiglass, and that makes it a little bit more difficult in the sense of we want to give you those clear, beautiful views of the president, of Senator J.D. Vance as they're speaking, and we're able to do that well thanks to our amazing crew out there. But different dynamics that make you think about what happened in Butler. Several snipers on the roofs when we were there in North Carolina. So scary times that scary people have arguably inspired people to do something that terrible, to not only give up their life in the process, but the fact that they wanted to take the President Trump's life was just so sickening, so sad. A young man who would be driven to that because of socialist far-left influences. And the rhetoric needs to be tamped down, especially on the communist side. And
President Trump running to be president of all of America, that I agree with, of course, but Lynn Patton, one of his senior advisors, said that exact statement. Running for all of this country, to make America great again. Before we get to a couple of those sponsors, I just want to say, to your point with Asheboro, North Carolina, what was that like when he stepped away from the stage and went and hugged the lady that was dealing with a heat-related illness? What was that like?
Well, Megan and I were really floored by that moment, because it was just so beautiful to see, again, that instinctual leadership. And of course, him calling for a medic and let's take our time. But he jumped right into action to go say hello to her. And that's a big thing we mention on every broadcast. Make sure you're being hydrated. Make sure you have a nice breakfast before you go to these, because it's still hot outside. We're in the dog days of summer, and these unexpected falls do occur. Usually it's with some of our older MAGA patriots, some of our elderly who are in there in the audience. But like he said, he came out on stage. It was a hot day, and even I can attest to that. It was nice and warm. So make sure you're dressing for the occasion and just getting plenty of fluids in you so that doesn't happen.
An awesome moment there. Always a good one to rewatch as well. So many different people with their cell phones getting different angles. Very cool stuff in Asheboro, North Carolina the other day. Let's thank the Free Trump Book. If you've been with us since the top of the broadcast, we thanked them earlier, but we could thank them again, because at the end of the day, some of the indoctrination from some of the schools out there, this is something to reverse all of that false narrative and really just provide the truth of President Trump's first administration, but also a number of other topics out there, fighting socialism or fighting indoctrination, that kind of thing. Always good, especially with the youth, to get them with the truth first before the left tries to feed their minds with garbage.
Well, a great history lesson on a number of different topics, and that's the problem here. Even the left, I noticed at the DNC last week, and Governor Walz speaking on this, one of his lines was, "We didn't ban books in Minnesota, we fed our neighbors," which I wasn't really sure on the accuracy of either of those statements. But what they're talking about is many parents have gotten involved in making sure there's no pornography in their minor children's schools. And the left has turned that into, oh, they're going off and banning books.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Great point, Bobby. Great point. And so they're saying, oh, they have to have the freedom to choose the books they want to read. Well, guess what? There's something called morals. There's something called, hey, guess what? That's still illegal in a way. You can't have that kind of book in a library for kids to be looking at. It's ridiculous.
Right, and for a librarian to even look over that and say that's okay, or any school official, if I were to go hand something like that off, even if it was illustrations, to a minor child, I would probably be spoken to by the police, and rightfully so, and maybe would even spend, pending where I'm living, spend a night or two in jail for doing something perverted like that. And our educators are being allowed to do this in certain school boards. It's perverse and it's wrong, and that's why it's important to get freetrumpbook.com, because it's giving rich history, it's giving the truth about the MAGA movement and the truth about socialism, so history doesn't repeat itself.
Exactly. So this one is The Kid's Guide to American Greatness. This one is To Fighting Indoctrination. And this one is about President Trump's first administration. So go to freetrumpbook.com to get yours today. There's a number of other topics on there, so you'll be able to check that out at freetrumpbook.com. We also want to thank the Wellness Company. This is the Contagion Emergency Kit right here. And then there's also a medical emergency kit. Pretty cool color. I think my wife would like this color here on this one, and this is pretty sharp too.
I like that too.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp, right? But other than that, what it's all about is the medications, of course, on the inside. You have to fill out a medical form to get the correct medicines, so including ivermectin, amoxicillin, a Z-Pak. Always good to have this at work, or maybe in the car on a vacation, or at your house.
And look how durable it is. It's so easy, lightweight. And did you know, too, there's a bird flu meeting that's going to take place coming. It's a summit coming in October. It's eerily reminiscent of what happened in 2021 with COVID, the plandemic. Get this, the first topic of the agenda, mass fatality management planning. How scary is that? This comes right before the election. Talk about voting early, because God forbid what the globalists are going to attempt to do. But the good news is you don't have to be scared. You just are prepared with this beautiful Wellness Company kit at MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Code RSBN for 15% off. Dr. Peter McCullough, a great American patriot who's been canceled for his efforts, but an epidemiologist who has spent his career focused on keeping people healthy and making sure that you get these wonderful medications, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, the Z-Pak, and more. So save $45 with code RSBN and get it today. And it's MakeCareGreatAgain.com. And one other quick thing before we go to a commercial. You were talking about what possible pandemics are out there. I saw on the World Health Organization the other day, they were talking about Mpox, so monkeypox. It said hashtag Mpox. So whatever's going on over there, it's always good still to have this kind of stuff with you. So MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Also combine that with some prayer and we believe in the power of healing as well, through medication, through prayer, that kind of thing. So President Trump to speak at 2 o'clock. For Bobby McNeely, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back on the other side of this commercial break.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen-size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long, so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets, only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, Don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matthew Alvarez here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
I'm Bobby McNeely, and Matthew, it's a pleasure to join you once again from beautiful Auburn, Alabama, where the college kids are right back into class. We are in the dog days of summer and ready for an outstanding college football season, but the Super Bowl of Super Bowls, the biggest bowl game in my opinion, the 2024 presidential election right around the corner.
Perfect. Yeah, November 5th. I mean, it's 72 days away, so obviously we'll be covering every ounce of campaign stops and other big news that affects our country right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As you see, it's about 3 after 1 o'clock on the East Coast, about 10:03 out there on the West Coast. So thank you for joining us throughout the country right now. And speaking of throughout the country, President Trump on his way to Detroit, Michigan for that 2 p.m. press conference. We do know that 50 states are represented at this National Guard conference, not press conference, but conference in Detroit today. So always good for the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard. And President Trump, I mean, visiting Arlington National Cemetery this morning, and this is the 3rd year anniversary of the botched Afghanistan withdrawal. President Trump paying his respects there this morning.
And what a special moment that was, and I'm sure this speech to National Guard members will be just as touching, just as serious as the campaign has swung into a large foreign policy and safety apparatus, talking about making America strong again. That was a large focus not only on Friday in Las Vegas and Glendale, Arizona, but also Wednesday in Asheboro, North Carolina, as President Trump jet sets all over the country on Trump Force One. I actually had neighbors in Johns Creek, Georgia, who were honoring the 13 fallen service members just over the weekend, as well at one of the local memorial parks in the Atlanta area, and that was a beautiful ceremony to, really gather around with people and to remember these young lives taken so abruptly, so soon, because of a botched foreign policy, a foreign policy that has led to our intelligence and our technology now being in the hands of the Russian government, the Chinese government, Afghanistan, a sad, horrible debacle, and what a slap in the face to our veterans from Biden and Harris, who clearly disgraced their legacies and what they had accomplished in Afghanistan. We need a commander-in-chief back in the White House, and that person is Donald Trump.
Exactly, and President Trump had a statement that he posted on Truth Social earlier today. We also aired that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network about 25 minutes ago, so you can check that out if you'd like. Obviously, he's always, when he talks with Gold Star families, do you remember at the RNC, obviously that powerful time with Gold Star families, but also he was able to spend time with them at different times for upwards of 6 hours. He was slated for that 1 hour, but he went for 6 hours. And that's a long time for someone that is a president or the leader of the free world. But that's where his heart is.
He cares deeply for our military. I recall the one time at the Air Force Academy when he was meeting with the graduates, he shook every single hand and he asked his generals, what can I do in this moment? So really special. But going from a foreign policy aspect, we are very thankful to our sponsors, especially Birch Gold. You want to talk about foreign policy and financial security, you need both and they go hand in hand. 50 years ago we had the petrodollar was changed in the Nixon administration. We went from the gold standard to the petrodollar, trading with Saudi Arabia being the world's reserve currency. That has all changed with Biden. So go to our friends at Birch Gold by texting Trump to 989898. That is Trump to 989898, and you get a free Fight silver coin. That will probably be worth a lot of money in the coming years.
100% a great collector's item, but it's something that shows a lot of American pride to what happened there on July 13th. The Tax Network USA as well. Call 800-357-1415. You get all of this help by this group for any back taxes or missed filing deadlines. This group right here will help you along the way. So it's always good to have someone sometimes you need to have your hand held, when it comes to finances. You're learning all these things, and having a group like this, it works.
And the Biden administration adding 87,000 new IRS agents since the front of their tenure. So settle your back taxes now. 800-357-1415, taxnetworkusa.com/RSBN.
And another great sponsor, MyPillow. Always great. Right Side Broadcasting Network and MyPillow together. Upwards of 80% off. You can see that graphic right there on your screen. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com/RSBN. My wife and I have plenty of products of the MyPillow products, from the pillow to the slides to slippers. Literally, yesterday we went on a walk out in our neighborhood, and she was wearing the slides out there. I was like, oh, okay, we're not at the beach right now, but you're wearing the slides. It's still pretty cool. So, you have any products for MyPillow?
I've really enjoyed the MyPillows. They help me sleep better, and I'm a kind of guy I like to put 2 or 3 pillows together. And the MyPillows have always been best for that, to really conform to my head. And the problem is, too, I'm a back sleeper, so I try to get to my side to my front so I'm not snoring and all that good stuff without going into too many details about my sleeping patterns. But doing that has helped so much. So we thank Mike Lindell and MyPillow for a wonderful American product.
Speaking of the great Mike Lindell, let's go to him now live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Mike, you're the man. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us about how the store is doing and how sales are doing across the country.
Well, obviously we don't have box stores. We have very few. They've all canceled us. Shopping channels have canceled us. And then just last week now they came after my recovery network, Keith Ellison of Minnesota, to cancel that and my foundation there after that. So we're fighting back. We give out great specials, like you say, up to 80% off at RSBN. We're busy making our MyPillows. We have those on sale for like $19.99, and for the queen size, king size, $5 more. But these pillows, we've sold over 83 million MyPillows. Wow. I mean, that's incredible since we started. And my employees, we've just hired more a couple weeks ago. So in spite of all the attacks, we're able to get through. It's a struggle every day, though, and they don't want. The reason that they're attacking everybody is not because Mike Lindell wants to overturn the 2020 election. No, it's Mike Lindell wants paper ballots hand counted. And that's what they don't like. The evil just keeps attacking and trying to cancel. And by the way, you see, I'm still trying to get my mustache back from the DNC last week. That was quite a time. We went in there, and I got in there for 5 hours, and I got exactly what I wanted. This was all about making awareness for the next day, which was we filmed all of these inner city Democrats that had voted for Biden and now are voting for Donald Trump. So it was very powerful. We're going to have all that footage out shortly. And man, the reasons that come out of their mouth was just incredible.
Yeah, it was quite the scene out there at the DNC with the glasses, the hat, the shaved mustache. When's the last time you did that, Mike? It's been, what, 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah, 30 years I did it, and played John Belushi in a skit in one of the bars I had back in the day. And but this time, there was a reason behind it. It was funny too. When I left the DNC, I'm all by myself walking along. All the Palestinian protesters here with bullhorns, and then I had guys come up to me, two guys come up and start attacking me, of course, because they were I was for Donald Trump. They're calling, they're attacking. Well, the Palestinian, one of them recognized me, go, "That's Mike from MyPillow." And then all of them went after these two protesters, going after them for harassing me. They all put down the horns. I ended up taking pictures with the protesters for probably upwards of an hour. And it was like, everybody calm down, all is well. What a common thing that everybody can agree on. Great sleep and paper ballots hand counted. That is one thing. When I was in the DNC, they all agreed on that. Remember, Kamala Harris and Amy Klobuchar and all the Democrats, they wanted these machines gone long before the Republicans. So, this is where I'm at on that. But one of the things that was funny, my assistant told me earlier in the week when I came up with this stunt to shave my mustache to get attention from the media for this big event I was having. She goes, you speak at 3 events this weekend, which would have been the last 3 days. And so I had to go from Chicago. I did a big event on the last day in Chicago, Friday night. Then I went down to Texas, did an event. Then I went to Alabama, did a speaking event. Then I went to Colorado and did a speaking event. And there were people there going, they're taking a double take, like, hey, we want the MyPillow guy. We want Mike Lindell. It is me.
That's awesome.
So that was interesting.
Traveling almost as much as President Trump, Mike Lindell on the road, really, I think that's the beautiful thing about your personality, Mike, and the hard work you put in to not only the marketing at your company, but really preaching the gospel everywhere you go, whether it's with Jimmy Kimmel or whether it is with these Democrats. So 2 questions for you. Right. Do you think we can actually work with Democrats in Congress to work towards more of that paper balloting, or work with the secretaries of state who might be Democrats out throughout, or these county clerks who are Democrats throughout the country? And 2, can you kind of enlighten our viewers as to who Tim Walz really is as the Minnesota governor, because I feel like he's still really not known outside of your home state of Minnesota.
Okay, I'll answer that one first, and then I'll get into the other question. Tim Walz is so evil, so far left, he makes Kamala look towards the center. I'm not kidding everybody. He is very, very evil. What he's done to our state of Minnesota. Remember, I come from I was an ex-crack cocaine addict, and my friends downtown Minneapolis, right where all the fires were set, a lot of them had started their lives. They had gotten out of drugs, and they had businesses along Lake Street there and stuff, and they got burned to the ground, and Walz let them burn. His wife, just basically laughing, going, "Oh, look at this," and he didn't call in the National Guard when he could have. He let the precinct burn to the ground. But he did so many other things. Like during the China virus, he made us stay in our houses for Thanksgiving. You could only have, I believe it was 8 people in your house. So families couldn't get together for Thanksgiving. Or the neighbor, he had a hotline, a rat line, where your neighbor could turn you in. Like my daughter said, "Dad, we can get 90 days in jail." And I said, "That's rubbish. I've been in jail. I'm going to go to jail just to make a point." Christmas, he gave us 2 more people. It was just with his disgusting. Shut down all the Christian churches, ran loudspeakers in Minneapolis for Allah for the mosque, and this is the stuff he did. Then he wouldn't accept masks before he knew they didn't work. He did a shout out, or the governor's office reached out and said, "Hey, we need more masks." And MyPillow, we said, "You can have them all. We'll donate them to the state." And he said, "No, we won't take anything from Mike Lindell or MyPillow until after the election." No, and I'm going, you better take it now or I'm making a big deal of it. In other words, he didn't want me to get publicity because I was branded with our great real president, Donald Trump. He did that. Then he was so worried I was going to run for governor, he sent out, I don't know, 1 million postcards to everyone in Minnesota and bad-mouthing me on the card, bringing up addiction, like, crack cocaine. Everybody knew about that. I'm about as transparent as you'll ever find in a person. And so Tim Waltz, everybody, you Google evil, the word evil, there's Tim. It's bad. And which brings up another thing here. You ask about, my efforts in 3.5 years to get to paper ballots hand counted. The biggest blockers, bar none, are the Secretary of States, and it's the Republican ones, Democrat ones too. But that office, horrible. You got crooked Brad Rassenberger. The first Secretary of State I went to in the summer of 21 was Alabama, a guy named John Merrill, Republican Secretary of State, because I went from the top down and the bottom up. I went to meet with him. I said, John, you made me pay $43,000 for his voter rolls. I paid for it. I said, look, you had 4,602 people here in Alabama, John, that voted that were over 110 years old. And he looked at me, he says, well, Mike, we live pretty good here in Alabama. I said, that's not funny, John. I said, this is serious. And what he did then, he just doubled down, tripled down, biggest block. Some of these states, the states we get the biggest blocks from, you wouldn't even believe it. South Dakota, Alabama, Missouri, Texas, Arkansas. In Arkansas, they voted there, Cleburne County, to go to paper ballots. And this Kim Hammers, another Republican, went before the Senate and pushed a bill through. And the bill says, if you're a county in Arkansas and you go to paper ballots, we're defunding your county. Now, this stuff doesn't make sense, everybody. So over 3.5 years that I've been fighting this uniparty, and mostly Republican uniparty Republicans, although, you have the worst Secretary of State in the world in Jenna Griswold in Colorado. Of course, but we fight them all from that level. We have fought judges. I fought lawfare, everything to get this through. Well, we're coming at it from a different angle now. With everything I've learned, here's what we need to do. You need to request your mail-in ballot. Get your mail-in ballot, get it off the dirty voter rolls. Don't open it, and tell everyone to do this. And you get there on election day, and if they say you've already voted, you pull it out and say, no, I have not. It then becomes identity theft, and we're going to have the reporting on Frank Social, the app Frank Social, that's my app, on every county in the country. We need people, I don't care what party you're in, to know that, hey, this identity theft happened. It becomes very real, and you can check it all out. It's all laid out at lindellplan.com. It's lindellplan.com. Our great real president, he asked me, I laid this out, showed him the whole plan there, and he, because he said he wants to go to paper ballots, hand counted, same-day voting when he gets in office. And I said, man, we've been fighting this for 3.5 years, actually for 2 decades, because the Democrats wanted it gone before. And in the movie Kill Chain, everybody. And so I said, we need to have we need to have the whole public having his back, because just having, as you know, that there's the fight to get rid of these electronic voting machines it's a biblical proportion. It's unbelievable. There's 132 countries that have banned computers in elections and electronic voting machines. And over 100 have banned early voting and mail-in voting. We have the worst election platforms in the world here in the United States. But there's countries like Argentina just took one judge to say, hey, we've got to go to paper ballots and hand count it, and they did it in 4 months. By the way, don't be fooled, everybody. Like Virginia came out 2 weeks ago and says, well, we got the best election. We have paper ballots. Well, there's paper ballots in almost every state, but they're counted by tabulators, which are computers on the internet. And so this is where we're at, but we're in a great place, believe me. Check it out, lindellplan.com. There's the hope. And, all these bad ones, like I told our real president, God uses all things for good. And we're going to get to this great place, and we're going to look back and say, It all had to happen just the way it did.
Exactly, Mike. So those are some staggering statistics right there with the 132 countries, and our election process here. We're praying, we're believing, and I know you're working hard. Many organizations, we're all working hard for a free and fair election. Before we let you go, as we take a live look there in Detroit, we're talking, of course, with the great Mike Lindell. Can you talk to us about your thoughts on two things? One, the RFK Jr. endorsement, and if you'd like to talk about the Telegram CEO Pavel Durov arrested in France. Your thoughts, sir?
Okay, I don't know the second one. I've been busy, but I will comment on the first one. I absolutely was praying for that with Robert Kennedy Jr. I was actually praying for that to happen, just like I was 2 months ago that Elon Musk would get on board with paper ballots hand counted. That prayer was answered about a month and a half ago. This prayer, we were actually at the RNC. I was there with Rudy Giuliani, our great America's mayor, and we both talked about this, and all of a sudden it comes to fruition, and it's just like you can't ask for it. These are divine things that are happening, and at the perfect time. Look at what him endorsing our great real president Donald Trump. That took anything that would have come out of that DNC, this is the biggest story out that we can get, and what a blessing! What a blessing! What a blessing! If these things, we're an anomaly in history, everybody, and we're in a spiritual battle of good and evil beyond anything the world has ever seen. And you just look at these little mini miracles happening along the way. That's just a huge one that just happened. And by the way, if Elon Musk, if you're watching this show, I've been waiting for the call. I want to meet with Elon Musk. I want to sit down with him, show him what I have, what we've learned over 3.5 years, so that he can use his voice as one of the biggest in the world to get the world how important this is to get to paper ballots hand counted.
Exactly. Mike Lindell, sir, thank you so much joining us from Minnesota. We look forward to having you on here again at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we do let you go, though, can you just encourage some people that are watching right now that are very concerned about the fork in the road that we have coming up in 72 days, peace through strength and freedom and truth, Mike, versus a very terrible leftist radical agenda?
Yeah, you guys, you really need to get involved right now. Like I say, go to lindellplan.com. That's the plan. That's been laid out. It's all there for everybody for the last 3.5 years. Another one I want to tell everybody, don't believe the fake polls that are going to come out. Do your own, because what's going to happen is your Foxes of the world are going to put out polls saying things are very close. Because if you go to steal an election, if you go to do that, it has to be believable. No, if they gave us the virus 2.0, nobody would do the same things or fall for all the stuff we fell for, just like this election. When they go to take it again, they would have to take another 10 million votes. 10 million. And it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. So this time, everybody needs to be courageous and stand up. Get on all the social media platforms. When you learn something, when you get some, spread the word. Don't let them brainwash you. And this is the perfect time in history. But I will tell everybody, we've interviewed all these Democrats that are switching from Biden that voted for Biden and now voting for Donald Trump. This is the one time in history you all need to go out there and talk to people that weren't listening before. Their eyes are getting open right now, and tell them, say, hey, this is what manifested with Donald Trump to December of 2019. Here's where we are now with this administration. Not everybody likes transvestites running around our schools and crazy things going on. Nobody likes that. It's like a minority of all time. We're not a divided country. Donald Trump is a great uniter of the people, and this is the time you can go to him because he has proof of concept, and we have to save our country. Another thing, everybody, this is the perfect time to speak out for Jesus too. And for people don't look to God when things are going good. They usually look to him when they need hope and things are going bad. So that's the perfect time to go out and evangelize right now.
Amen. Mike Lindell, sir, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Mike bringing up that topic at the end of faith, it's that relationship, it's that friendship that we can have with our Creator God. That's pretty awesome stuff, let alone, obviously, the situations that we're dealing with in this country right now.
Oh, no question about it. And what a life story, Mike Lindell, who overcame addiction, so much hardship, and took responsibility for his own actions, putting his faith in his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and creating not only a remarkable American company and such a great product that's helped countless people, such a great idea as well, now coming under assault from his own government on a regular basis because he's just interested in the business of freedom, free speech, free and fair elections, paper ballots, and what an inspiration he is, because he keeps taking it to arenas and areas that don't traditionally believe in the MAGA message or the Trump-aligned side of things. But Mike Lindell clearly showing that this is a bipartisan solution to something that everyone wants, and that's paper balloting and free and fair elections. I think that's the paramount of freedom in our country.
Talk about using your platform for good. Right. He's doing it, and it's awesome to see that. Obviously, a big friend and great friend of Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Bobby McNeely. Tag teaming today.
Tag teaming.
For this great event that's about to happen. 2 o'clock, President Trump slated to speak there in Detroit, Michigan. This is to a National Guard conference that's happening. This is the third and final day of that conference. Just some details on it. The National Guard Conference in Detroit consists of Army and Air National Guard officers from all 50 states, 3 territories, and the District of Columbia. This is all to network, set legislative agenda, and hear from America's civilian and military leaders. And then capping it off, a great, great time there when President Trump will be there with all of the people as he speaks at 2 o'clock Eastern. You're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network, and without the following sponsors, we couldn't bring you any of this live coverage. American Financing is one of them. I mean, $854 a month, Bobby. Saving an average of that amount, always a good thing.
Always smart to do. If you own a home, you want to call our friends over at American Financing, 888-402-0299. You have to wipe out the high interest credit card debt and the high mortgage rates that are happening in America. And if you're only paying a minimum every month, it'll take you years to pay off those bills. So there are no upfront fees to get started with this great organization. Great patriots at American Financing can help you today. Just give them a call over at 888-402-0299. Let's go over to the Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415. Anything, any problems with filing or back taxes, this group right here, Tax Network USA, give them a call. They'll work alongside you. They'll take care of things with you to help you have some more financial peace of mind, especially with the IRS and all that out there. Oh, exactly. And they just don't negotiate. They protect your assets. They go to bat against the IRS for you, as we've seen so many thousands of new IRS agents under the Biden administration. It was actually one of the few promises that Joe Biden made that he followed through with, that he was going to increase the power and the size and scope of the federal government, especially the IRS. And very importantly, too, here our Patriot friends at Tax Network USA are licensed to help with all state tax issues, regardless of where you live in the United States. The clock is ticking. Don't wait for the IRS to step up its game. Seize control of your financial future now. Contact taxnetworkusa.com/RSBN or give them a call at 800-357-1415.
All right, and let's thank our other sponsor, Director. Which sponsor are we going to at this point? There you go, free Trump book. And we have a few of those right here. This is The Kid's Guide to President Trump, The Kid's Guide to Fighting Indoctrination and to American Greatness. A number of great topics with this book, freetrumpbook.com.
And it's not surprising that crime and drugs are spiraling out of control. The opioid epidemic happening terribly in the last decade throughout America. Part of the reason why Senator J.D. Vance selected to be the running mate of President Trump, because of what's going on at our southern border, how much that's affected those Midwestern states, how much it's affected this area. As I drove down this morning, I could see many signs talking about do you know what's in your drugs? And these terrible opioids, from fentanyl to household cleaners to things that can just destroy your life and ultimately kill you. Just look what happened at University of Georgia. Laken Riley, she was murdered by an illegal alien. And she was jogging in the afternoon in a heavily populated area of her school. And as a result, more and more Americans are agreeing with the Trump-era policies on immigration. And they're highlighted in this great freetrumpbook.com, this guide for the kids, so they can actually learn about American history and the Trump policies. And as future voters, our kids need to understand the ramifications of loose immigration policies. The Kids Guide to President Trump helps them understand this and helps them as they prepare for his reelection. freetrumpbook.com.
Exactly. The other topics include Republicans and Democrats and free elections and so many topics on freetrumpbook.com. Go ahead and go to that website if you'd like to have that as a great gift. I know we're a little bit early from December, but for Christmas time, but still always good to have a gift like that. So before we get to our next segment, Director, do we have the President Trump soundbite from the Truth Social post? Could we throw to that in a little bit? Just wondering. Okay, I'm not sure on that one, but we do know, of course, President Trump honoring the 13 heroes killed this morning at the Arlington National Cemetery for that botched withdrawal. This was 3 years ago today. President Trump made a statement on Truth Social earlier today as well. So if we can get to that, we'll see if we can go to that here in a second. But your thoughts on now he's going to Detroit to discuss things like that, but also talk with the Air National Guard and Army National Guard in Detroit.
He truly embodies that role of commander-in-chief, and something that President Biden has failed miserably at. He was looking at his watch when the remains of these 13 heroes came back and their families feeling like they really didn't have time, and this is their words, not mine, saying that President Biden just simply did not care about even being there, clearly was distracted, clearly did not want to be at that ceremony. And it really is a result of the failed Biden-Harris policies, especially in foreign policy. The Chinese and Russian governments now have our intelligence. They now have our technology that was left behind, millions and millions of dollars, as President Trump has mentioned on the campaign trail, but a day highlighting national security and an effort to make America strong again on this somber date of 13 young heroes who shamefully died at the hands of President Biden's failed foreign policy.
So it's clear we know what's on the ballot. It's America first versus America last. We want to win again in this country. Right. We want to be peaceful again. We want to have our economic freedom, our constitutional freedoms, and our rights. And it's really what's all on the ballot coming up here in about 72 days from now. So we do want to go to that soundbite from President Trump. He spoke about the botched withdrawal some 3 years ago. He posted this comment on Truth Social, a video comment, and here it is.
Month marks the 3-year anniversary of the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Kamala and Crooked Joe's catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan has just been horrible for all of us. 3 years ago, Kamala and Biden's incompetence left 13 dead warriors, hundreds of civilians killed and grievously wounded, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment on the planet abandoned to the Taliban, right into the hands of the Taliban. It also left 45 incredible soldiers so badly wounded, the legs, the arms, the face, obliteration. As Vice President, Kamala bragged that she was the last person in the room. She was the tough one. She was the last person in the room during that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan decision. She repeatedly praised the decisions, and she said it led to a catastrophe, but it was worth it. The incompetence and weakness on display from the Biden-Harris administration was an insult to every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine who ever served in our U.S. military. As we mark this horrible occasion, we mourn with the families of the great American heroes who lost their lives 3 years ago, and we vow to never forget the supreme sacrifice they made for our country. America cannot afford 4 more years of Kamala Harris in the White House. She is a disaster. She's a radical Marxist. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed the state of California. Everything in her way she destroyed. She ran against crooked Joe Biden and she lost. She was the first one out of 22 people. She was the first one to quit. She never even in the primary made it to Iowa. And this is not a person that should be running right now. She didn't get one vote. I'm not a fan of Biden at all. I thought he was the worst president in history. I think she's the worst vice president in history. But she got no votes. He got 14 million votes. They staged a coup. And something like that's not supposed to happen in our country. Under my leadership, our nation will be strong and respected like never before. And I will keep America safe. I will keep it safer than ever before. And if I'm not elected, I truly believe you're going to end up in World War III and you're going to end up in a depression, the likes of 1929. Thank you very much.
So that Truth Social post was from earlier today by President Trump. After visiting Arlington National Cemetery, and then of course on his way now to Detroit, Michigan, for this conference where he'll share a speech at 2 o'clock. It's a National Guard conference, so quite the day to be speaking within the military family of our country.
A very poignant day, a sad and somber day for these families. Those days never leave, and to relive them will haunt them for the rest of their lives, quite frankly. Especially, it's a fervor and a valor that you just don't see sometimes in American life as it has been in the past. So to volunteer and go into the military, these were very young people, 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age in some cases, that lost their lives, gone way too soon before their primes, and something again that was completely preventable. And I think that's another highlight between Trump-Vance versus Harris-Walz. It's the policies that will protect Americans, whether abroad or here domestically, versus policies that have harmed the American people, whether it's Kamala Harris's record of putting people away on low drug offenses who didn't have the money to defend themselves. She was a rogue DA in San Francisco. Whether it's Governor Tim Walz and his wife talking about how they enjoyed the riots in Minneapolis during the BLM COVID pandemic that took place, the Summer of Love, as you will, following the George Floyd riots. He did not bring in the National Guard. He allowed his city to burn in his state, and something that truly they are both derelict of duty and do not belong to be in government service any longer. You need people like President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance who are serious, who have not only worked with our military but served honorably, especially Senator J.D. Vance, one of these individuals who postponed college to go and serve in the Iraq War as a Marine. Two men who have incredible experience handling national security issues, and that being a somber theme on an anniversary such as today.
And peace through strength through President Trump. And also, you think about it, if you look back at that town hall with fake news CNN and Caitlin Collins on there, and she's asking President Trump about, the Ukraine-Russia war, Israel and, Hezbollah, Hamas, that kind of thing. He just said, I want the killing to stop.
Right.
He's about peace through strength, and that's what we saw under his first administration. There were no new wars started under President Trump. He's not in that business, right? He's not in that business. The uniparty is. Anyway, that's for maybe another time as we look live here for the Detroit, Michigan live view there. And interesting, we can get to donate for our RSBN network here because we see our camera crews out there, doing awesome coverage with us. So we got people behind the scenes, or we have people behind the scenes. And also, there are writers that are writing on RSBN for Truth Social and for X and that kind of thing. All of that, of course, takes a few bucks to do. So if you guys have a dollar or two, if you don't, it's okay. We get it. But if you can, RSBN to 801-801. This is how we do what we do. It's through the viewers and it's through our great sponsors here at the network.
And we're fortunate enough to cover these different speeches, these rallies where President Trump arrives, talking on policy, talking on cultural issues from beginning until end. Many other networks and the fake news corporate media will only give you slivers or tidbits of what took place. we let you, the viewers, decide and make up your minds for yourselves and watch everything in its totality, streaming on all major platforms and streaming, of course, on our some of our favorites like Rumble and True Social.
Definitely. So you'll get the news of the day. Like today, we were talking about a lot of the news headlines, but also obviously there's commentary. That's an op-ed, right? You see that in a newspaper. You see that on cable news out there. The thing that's great about Right Side Broadcasting Network, it's all about freedom. It's all about not being fake news, that kind of thing. So if you'd like to donate, it's RSBN to 801-801. Let's shift over now. If you guys have been watching, Mike Lindell just joined us moments ago. Well, mypillow.com/RSBN. Bobby, 80% off that's almost free, right?
He's a master marketer, and these are great American products. They're made in Minnesota. I have a few of the MyPillows myself. I really enjoy them, and I like to stack my pillows, and it's a great product. I highly recommend it, but they have so many different kinds of things, whether it's the comforters or slippers and shoes and so many different items that you can use in and around the house. Mike Lindell, a great American patriot, mypillow.com/RSBN for up to 80% off everything, and really enjoyed his commentary just a few minutes ago as we get ready to hear from President Trump in Detroit, Michigan.
And that's about 18 minutes from now, if on time. We'll see, and we'll have it here live for you. Let's go to the Wellness Company. If you've been watching our broadcast, you've seen us show you these kits here. This is the Contagion Emergency Kit, and this is the Medical Emergency Kit. So all you do is you fill out a medical form after you go to makecaregreatagain.com and figure out which medications are right for you. And then you get a lot of good ones that will help kick out any bacteria, viruses, that kind of thing.
Oh, you really do. And Dr. Peter McCullough, who was canceled, a legendary epidemiologist, world class, has put everything on the line to make sure he takes care of his patients and the great patriots watching this network. And you can save $45 with code RSBN if you go to makecaregreatagain.com. Did you know that there's a bird flu summit coming up, which is just scary to think about, eerily reminiscent to what happened the lead up to COVID and the pandemic. This agenda for this summit, the first topic will be mass fatality management planning. You cannot discount what the globalists might try to do in the lead up to the most pivotal election in American history, just 72 short days away. But the good news is you don't have to be scared. You can prepare with your contagion emergency kits and have at least one of these at home or on the road with you. So go to makecaregreatagain.com, save $45 with code RSBN, 15% off. I think it's an important thing to have and very tangible. You can take that on the road with you.
Yep, definitely. So our next great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network is Tax Network USA. All you have to do is call 800-357-1415. Again, anything when it comes to taxes, this is your group to work with. The Tax Network USA, right there, Bobby, 800-357-1415.
They have over 14 years of experience in these tax realms. They've saved clients over $1 billion in back taxes, $1 billion with a B. So no matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. They specialize in negotiating with the IRS, and they are on the side of American patriots, so you don't have to worry about calling a bureaucrat on the other end of the line. They just don't negotiate. They take aim peacefully and patriotically at the IRS to make sure they protect you, the American people. And importantly, they are licensed to help with all state tax issues. So they're specialized across the board. You know, I learned recently, actually, athletes, speaking of, you know, even college football in this regard now as we're into the season, any professional or semi-pro athlete, you know, they have to pay taxes in all 50 states. So it's a lot to deal with, a lot to take care of. And that's why it's good to have a team like taxnetworkusa.com/RSBN in your corner. Give them a call, 800-357-1415.
All right, and our final sponsor for the day, as of right now, is Birch Gold Group. Text Trump to 989898. We know about those BRICS nations out there: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and the list goes on. They're trying to use their local currencies to devalue the U.S. dollar, but you got to have some kind of backup plan with gold, silver, precious metals.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you want to convert your 401k or your IRA into tangible gold, silver, and precious metals, you can easily do this with the great patriots over at Birch Gold. And now they're featuring a free fight silver coin, an iconic moment, J13. Text Trump to 989898. We have to fight for our retirement in these trying times financially, and in regards to our national security. We need to protect ourselves, our homes, and our families.
And you can do that by going to texting with Trump to 989898, tax sheltered IRA, 401k, all this assistance. You get this info kit. It's really going to help you give the 1, 2, 3s on gold, silver, and precious metals. Some great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So again, today, President Trump speaking at 2 o'clock in about 15 minutes or so in Detroit, Michigan. This on a very busy week, of course, starting out in D.C., then to Detroit, then later this week, Bobby, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, back to D.C., all just this week.
And those states highly coming into play since RFK Jr. endorsed President Trump officially on Friday. And I'm just reading some other news, some print news, that The Hill is featuring Mitch Landrieu, the former governor of Louisiana, focused on Georgia. As he quoted, "They have new energy since the vice president took over." Landrieu speaking on the Democrat side, coming off of the DNC and referring to the moment when President Biden stepped aside and Harris emerged as the party's presumptive nominee. Also, Senator Warnock of Georgia saying that there were incredible speeches at the DNC, and Senator Ossoff there, as well as Lucy McBath, who is a congresswoman, the Democrat Party chair. The Democrats seeing Georgia and North Carolina as more of an opportunity now that RFK is out of the race. But even RFK saying, too, that with all the polling that his campaign was doing, it would have given an edge to Harris. This now tilted towards the Trump direction as a unity party alliance between someone who is from the Democrat ranks, his father, his uncles, a Democrat royalty, the Kennedy name known throughout the country, but Bobby Kennedy Jr. putting America first and his country first over party, and someone who will be remarkable to see because President Trump has now pledged to release those assassination documents of his father and his uncle back in the 60s. He also, RFK, someone who was not afraid to take on corporations, taking on the big pharma and vaccines, trying to protect our environment over the years. So it'll be interesting to see how influential he'll be in the next cabinet.
Always good to have a great player in politics like that on Team Freedom, which is the conservative movement, the MAGA movement, the freedom movement, which is here to stay because people generally want to be free, whether in this country or around the world. Let's talk about the DNC real quick. I know that was tough to stomach, but a lot of fakery, a lot of counterfeit over there. It might look like it's the real thing, but just like a counterfeit product, who wants a counterfeit product? You want the real deal, right? And that's what we have with President Trump and the campaign and RFK Jr. and J.D. Vance and Kerry Lake and MTG and on and on and on. We got the real deal. It's common sense truth taking on this lying party over there. They played a DJ Khaled song. Of course, it said, "All I do is win, win, win." But I think, Bobby, it should be, "All I do is lie, lie, lie." Because that's what they were doing.
Oh, exactly. It's gaslighting. It's Joseph Goebbels' style of messaging, the Nazi leader of World War II. And these are true fascists who are on the far left of the Democrat Party. They gaslight just about every topic. We're going to the podium now in Detroit, Michigan.
Columbia, welcome back to this session. What's in store for you is a wonderful afternoon and a phenomenal evening. On behalf of the 10,500 men and women of the Michigan National Guard and the hundreds of volunteers that put on this conference, I hope we have met your needs, and I certainly hope we've exceeded your expectations for this conference. Thank you. Thank you. The volunteers who you've seen on the streets, in the buses, in your hotels, helping you be successful deserve that. And I'm truly grateful for you giving them that round of applause. Because you all know I've done nothing to contribute but to keep asking a lot of questions. So, and amongst all of those volunteers, there are some great heroes, but there's one that stands out. One that has worked tirelessly for several years to get us rolling, to set conditions for our success. She's absolutely amazing. And I would be unable to sleep tonight if I did not deflect all credit to a great American, a great supporter and former member of the Michigan National Guard. Deb Salters, can you stand up, please? She has been a rock, and she has been in every call for years getting us to this moment. So she is the true leader of our organization when it comes to your conference. And this conference has been an investment in the National Guard, which is established in 1636 through the militias, protecting our nation at its earliest years, protecting our communities, and securing our homeland. That mission continues today. And you are a critical part of our national security and a critical part of our national defense. We would not be able to do what we need to do as a nation without your contributions. And this conference is our investment back into your professional development to set conditions for the generations that come after us and their success. So today is all about you. So thank you for what you do across our nation. Thank you for what you're doing on deployments overseas today and on the southwest border. God bless you all. Bidding for this conference is an honor. Being selected is a privilege. And then executing is something we take personal. But we do it as a team, because everything we do is a team sport. And this is the ultimate team sport. We had members from across our organization contribute, but we also had members of our communities contribute. We had elected officials contribute. And we had a very special guest who we called upon and asked him to lean in and share his voice with the selection committee back in 2019. And within days, we received a short video, but it had a huge impact. And I would ask for the team to play that video right now.
To the powers that be, I believe I speak for all the military supporters in the beautiful city of Detroit and the great state of Michigan, that we would be honored to host the National Guard for their 2024 convention. And I believe that we would make it most glorious for all parties to be. So please give us a hard look. We'd love to see you there.
Kid Rock is a huge military supporter. Please welcome Kid Rock.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome to Detroit Rock City, as we say. And no matter what your background is, what your politics are, any of that, before we get going here, those of you serving, who have served, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say, thank you for your service. I'd just like to talk for 2 seconds about my service. And there's a point to this, so if it sounds like a little toot of my own horn or a pat on my back, there's a point to this. Probably some of the most rewarding things I've done in my life and career have been being able to perform for our troops all over the world, from Kosovo, Germany, Afghanistan, Iraq, the UAE, Incilnik, Turkey, Italy, England, all across the U.S. But how did that start? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But I want to tell you a little story how that started. Many moons ago, some of you younger ones maybe weren't even walking yet, there was a horrible attack, terrorist attack in Yemen on one of our ships called the USS Cole, where 17 sailors lost their lives. And when they were getting towed out of that harbor, you can imagine their brothers and sisters, people serving with them, were pretty upset, pretty pissed off. But the upper brass, they could play patriotic music while they're getting pulled out of there. And one of those wise guys put on a little song by myself called American Badass. And they were pretty upset. I got a few pictures with these guys with, after losing, 17 of their brothers and sisters. They got F Yaman across their chests and a couple middle fingers in the air. And it gave me chills when I found out about it. But more importantly, my mother, who's with me today, just celebrated her 80th birthday. It was her who I might note that her father, my grandfather, and my uncle, her brother, served in World War II in Vietnam, she said, you should do something to help out with them. And this was, kind of before all the crazy wars and everything in the Middle East broke out. And I said, you know what, you're right. And I was raised to be very patriotic and love my country. And so it just happened. We were playing in Virginia, where we have a big presence in our military and the Navy. And I was able to play a show there and donate that money to the families of those 17 sailors that lost their lives. And that was because of one reason, because of my mom, Susan Ritchie. So how about an applause for Mama Rock, who's here tonight. She's a little shy. She's a little shy. Probably back there cutting it up with the president. Also apologize, I did not get the dress memo today, clearly. But enough of me rambling on here. There she is. Hi, Mom. Love you. Now, enough of me rambling on. Once again, welcome to our beautiful city, Detroit. I'm so proud to be from in and around here. It's great to be back, especially with so many of you great patriots. So let's bring on the man now, right? You probably want to hear somebody else speak, right? Well, how about we give a big old Detroit welcome, a huge military salute and welcome to our 45th and soon to be 47th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you. Having Kid Rock, sometimes referred to as Bob. I call him Bob. But he's a great guy. I'll tell you that. He's a great guy and a talented one. And it's an honor to be with all of you incredible patriots. Really an honor, a great one. And I'm thrilled to be here in Detroit with the incredible men and women of our National Guard. Very special people. I've had no greater honor in life than to serve as your commander-in-chief. And you are always ready and always there for us and for the President of the United States. You are always there for me, I will tell you. And I'm always going to be there for you. Thank you. And we're doing very well, as you probably see. And hopefully I can say when I'm back in the White House, I'll get you the support, funding, training, and equipment you need, and I will get you the pay raises that you've really deserved for a long time. We'll get it taken care of. A long time. I want to thank the chairman of the National Guard Association of the United States, Major General Jansen Durboyles, and also Vice Chair Major General Jamie Cole. Thank you both. Thank you very much. I also want to thank members of Congress, very special warriors and patriots, are very strong people. They love our country. Lisa McLean, where's Lisa? She's so incredible. Lisa, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. John James, John, thank you. John James is a star, doing really well. Thanks, John. Tim Wahlberg and Michael Waltz. Thank you very much, Michael and Tim. And again, I want to thank Kid Rock for being here. You know, he's really been a great friend of mine for a long time. Each and every one of the Guard members here today inherits the proud spirit of the citizen soldier, running all the way back to the Minutemen who stood against tyranny at Concord Bridge. Has everybody heard of Concord Bridge? Yes? I think so. You carry forward the legacy of Old Hickory Division that earned more medals of honor than any division in the Army in World War I, and the North Dakota Guardsmen who've walked through hellfire at Guadalcanal. And it was the Air National Guard that thundered into the skies to defend us on 9/11. We all remember that all too well. And when our country is hit by fire, flood, or vicious storm, America turns to the National Guard because we know we can always count on you. We always can count on you. I've counted on you a lot. The National Guard is America's first and last line of defense, and you do not get the credit you deserve. But actually you do, because down deep everybody knows it. You get a lot of credit in your own way, a little bit different, but we really respect and appreciate the job you do. Thank you to every Guardsman for your selfless service. I want to thank also our amazing National Guard families, because especially the spouses and the children, I mean, let's face it, without which you would never be the same, right? You'd never be the same, but they sacrificed so much. All of us in this room have something very special in common. We're all proud, hardworking citizens who have stepped forward to defend American freedom, and we continue to do that. And it's why I'm here today, because America's future is under threat like never before. Right at this moment, in my opinion, our country is at the most dangerous level that we've ever been. And I hate to say this, but we have a president who went on vacation a week ago, and now he came back and he went on vacation again. And we have people that are fighting all over the place and threatening our country as we speak. I don't think we've ever been closer to World War III than we are right now. It's a terrible thing. Our country is being destroyed by a radical political class that sends our guardsmen and women to defend the borders of distant foreign nations while they surrender our own borders to an invasion right here at home, the likes of which we've never seen before. You missed birthdays and holidays deploying overseas in the global war on terror. Only Kamala Harris is letting terrorists come into our country at record numbers and letting jihadists pour into our homeland by the thousands and thousands and thousands. Can't do that. And while you've risked your lives to defend our rights and liberties and our borders, our opponents have waged war on those liberties from the White House, attacking free speech, censoring dissidents, and trying to put their political opposition in jail. Never happened before. I'm in this fight to defeat the corrupt political class in Washington that's hurting you very badly, whether we know it or not. and to reclaim America's future as a free and sovereign nation ruled by the American people. When I'm back in the White House, we will expel the warmongers, the profiteers, and take over our government, and we will restore world peace, and it will be again peace through strength. On day one, I will seal the border and I will stop the invasion of millions of people into our country. We will find and remove the terrorists and jihadists who have infiltrated our soil, and under my leadership, we'll bring back the values that you enlisted your lives to defend: sovereignty, liberty, free speech, and fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. We are not just going to make America great again, we're going to make American democracy great again. We're going to bring it back. My opponent, Kamala Harris, and Tim Walz are promising the exact opposite. They want endless war, open borders, voting rights, and free health care for illegal aliens, Soviet-style price controls, censorship, unlimited migration from terrorist hotspots, and unchecked power for the deep state. This fight is no longer between Democrats and Republicans. This is a fight between communism and freedom. It's a very serious fight. That's why millions of traditional Democrats, including FDR Democrats, JFK Democrats, independents, and old-fashioned liberals are joining our movement. Our poll numbers are great. We're uniting forces to end the endless foreign wars, stop the censorship, end weaponization of our government, defend our borders, rebuild our middle class, protect the health of our children, and above all, to restore our republic and vanquish the corruption that's all over Washington, D.C. right now. 3 days ago, I was honored to receive the endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. We're very proud. Thank you. We're very proud to welcome Bobby to our cause. He's really a terrific guy. He's a terrific person, and he's going to do a lot of great things. I have no doubt about it. He's got some very good ideas, some ideas that people weren't listening to. It's turned out to be right. And today I'm honored to officially welcome another true American patriot, a 17-year veteran of the Hawaii Army National Guard, a 4-term Democrat congresswoman, very, very popular, the former vice chair of the National Democratic Party and a 2020 Democrat candidate for the United States presidency. You know, she was a very good candidate. Every time she ran, she was good. She did well. She decided to leave. She couldn't take it anymore, but she is very special. And I didn't know this, but she was a lieutenant colonel. That's not bad. Lieutenant colonel. Not bad. I didn't know that. You know, I just found out. I said, put it down. You got to put that down. That's bigger. That's better than all the other stuff I read. But no, she's a special person. She's got great common sense, great spirit. She loves our country, and she loves the people in this room. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Aloha. I know we got Hawaii in the house here. There we go. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, my brothers and sisters in uniform, especially on this day of all days. I had the privilege of joining President Trump this morning at Arlington Cemetery, where he joined 2 Gold Star families and loved ones of Staff Sergeant Hoover and Sergeant G, both of whom were 2 of the 13 killed in the Abbey Gate attack 3 years ago today in Kabul. And I can tell you, as we were there, as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, joining these Marines' loved ones, I felt the sorrow that he shared with them in their loss. I felt and saw his sincere appreciation for these servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price and their loved ones who continue to grieve to this day. This is personal for me, as I know it is for so many of you here. This is real. It's not just words. I first deployed to Iraq in 2005 with the Hawaii Army National Guard as a member of Charlie Med. As those of you who were deployed during that time know, it was the height of the war, and sadly, we took many casualties. And every day we were confronted with that high human cost of war and that sadness as we boarded the plane when we left, that we were leaving some of our brothers and sisters behind, only to lose others when we got home to suicide. So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House, where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief. Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat. Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him. I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president. We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future. I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Tulsi. I heard that might happen, but I wasn't sure. And it happened because she's really an amazing person. So I look forward to working with Tulsi and everybody in this room, actually. And as Tulsi mentioned early this morning, Tulsi and I were at Arlington National Cemetery with the families of service members who lost their lives in the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that we withdrew, but the way they did it. We were going to do it with dignity and strength. We were in the process of getting out. We would have never given up Bagram, one of the biggest air bases in the world, 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We gave it up. We gave them everything. China took it over. China now occupies it. Can you imagine? The longest, most powerful runways, I think 8 feet of concrete down, and we gave it all up. Spent billions and billions of dollars years ago building it, 1 hour away, and we're gone, and now China occupies it. Today marks the 3-year anniversary of the terrorist attack at Abbey Gate. Now, we say Abbey Gate, a lot of people don't know what that means. It means Afghanistan. That left 13 American service members dead, dozens more badly wounded, and many innocent civilians also killed and injured, hundreds of people killed. Never been anything like it. It's the wrong base. Shouldn't have taken the soldiers out first. Should have taken the soldiers out last. That's where you'd want to be. They took the soldiers out first, and they had a field day at our expense and our reputation. We will never forget those brave warriors who made the supreme sacrifice for our country. They will live in our hearts forever. And to all the Gold Star families, our gratitude is everlasting, will be everlasting always. We will honor their memory by restoring a government that puts the American people first. Caused by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the humiliation in Afghanistan set off the collapse of American credibility and respect all around the world. And the fake news doesn't want to talk about it. They don't even talk about the 3-year anniversary. A terrible word to use, but that's what they're calling it, an anniversary. It's really, I think of anniversary as a little bit different, but it's 3 years now. And the fake news doesn't even talk about it. Our country will never be safe again until we have fired those responsible for this disaster. Nobody fired. Worst, most embarrassing, in my opinion, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. It gave us Russia going into Ukraine. It gave us the October 7th attack on Israel because it gave us lack of respect. We're not respected. We were respected very much 4 years ago. We're not respected now. The voters are going to fire Kamala and Joe on November 5th, we hope. And when I take office, we'll ask for the resignations of every single official. We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be on my desk at noon on Inauguration Day. You know, you have to fire people. You have to fire people when they do a bad job. We never fire anybody. You got to fire them. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired. You did a lousy job. You did a terrible, terrible disservice to our country. You get fired when that happens. Nobody got fired. Nobody ever gets fired in this administration. It's amazing. All the bad things that have happened, nobody ever gets fired. The problem is when you fire somebody, they always end up writing a book about you, you know. I've had more books written about me. I fire a lot of people when they don't do a good job. I get a book written about me by all these losers that get fired. Every crisis Kamala and Biden have created on the world stage can turn around very quickly, and we're going to turn it around. But only we need strong leadership. We need a big victory. November 5th will be the most important day, my opinion, in the history of our country. Be the most important day. In 4 short years, thank you, under the Trump administration, we rebuilt, you know it better than anybody, rebuilt the U.S. military. We obliterated ISIS. So ISIS was going to take 5 years. Sir, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it in 5 years. 5 years. We have those beautiful jets for $150 million apiece, and they have knives and rifles. I don't understand why. You know, I traveled. You know that. I traveled to Iraq. Late at night, I got in. I traveled. They said, sir, would you do us a favor? What? Close your windows. We're turning off the lights. We're getting ready to land in Iraq at a great base in Iraq. And I went because I wanted to see why we're not winning against ISIS. We've been fighting them for 20 years. And I was told by my Washington, D.C. generals that it will take 5 years. 5 years, sir. I said, I don't get it. And I went there and I met real generals. And you know the story, you probably heard the story, but I had one in particular, Raisin Cane. I said, Raisin Cane, your name's Raisin? Yes, sir, they call me Raisin Cane. What's your first name, Dan? I said, but they call me Raisin, sir. So your name's Raisin Cane? Yes. I love you, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Raisin Cane. And anyway, we sat down and we had a meeting. He said, would you like to rest? No, I don't need resting. Unlike other people that we know, we don't need to rest. He'd rest and then leave. There'd be no meeting. It's just, let's go now. I said, how do we beat these guys? Sir, we can do it quickly. They said, no, they say it's going to take a long time. How can you do it? 4 weeks, sir. What? We can do it in 4 weeks, sir. They didn't use our resources. They wanted to be politically correct. They didn't fly out of areas where they thought the country may be a little angry at us, even though we support those countries. And we can do it in 4 weeks, sir. Well, what are you going to do? We're going to have auxiliary airports for, military ports. You know all about them. Sort of portables, I think he called them, but they're out in the desert all over the place. We want to use them, and we'll use here. But they wanted to fly from here. And it's a long distance, sir. By the time we got there, we had to come back. I said, so what would you do? He said, well, I'd leave from 7 places, and we'll hit them from the left, we'll hit them from the right, and we'll hit them underneath, and on top, we'll hit them so much they won't know what the hell is happening, sir. In 4 weeks, we'll do it, sir. 4 weeks? They said 5 years. 4 weeks is all we need, sir. And that's what it took. Can you believe it? I said, go ahead. I made a couple of phone calls first. I said, is this guy serious? Is he serious? He did it. He knocked it out. He knocked it out. So I can tell you about some of those, what a period of time that was. And I tell that story sometimes because I want to just say we have an unbelievable military when we have the right leader. We have an unbelievable military. Really true. And they're not going woke. Maybe a few people on top are woke, but those guys, they'll never be woke. They could be put in a room and preached to for the rest of their lives, and they won't go woke. And we know them. I saw them. What they did. I saw what they did with ISIS. We knocked out 100% quickly of the ISIS caliphate because we decided to fight. We have the greatest people in the world. We have the best equipment in the world. Now, we did give about $85 billion worth of it to Afghanistan. Do you know that Afghanistan is one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world? They sell the stuff that we stupidly left them. We left them $85 billion worth of brand new tanks and planes and even goggles. They didn't fight at night. You know why? They couldn't see. Now they can fight at night. It's not even believable how stupid these people were to allow this to happen to our country, and we became a laughingstock all over the world. And we buried 13 soldiers. They never mentioned the 45 soldiers that just were so badly hurt, obliterated, legs, arms, face. They don't mention. We left Americans behind. We left all of that equipment behind. And if we would have left from Bagram, where you have hundreds of acres, as opposed to a small little airport in the middle of the city, where everybody just came in and it was a mess, you wouldn't have had any of the problems. But you should have, again, taken the military out last. If I asked a 5-year-old child, what do you think? Here's the facts. Give them 1 minute. Would you take the military out first or last? Sir, I take the military out last, of course. But our guys didn't do that. But I just, it's embarrassing to even talk about it. And I wasn't there. You had another group there. But it's a very big embarrassment because I love the country. I want our country to be respected. And we lost a lot of respect at that moment. And it was so easy. It was so easy because we were getting out, but we were getting out with strength and dignity. Think of it. 18 months, not one soldier was killed under mine. And I spoke to Abdul. I told Abdul, you can't do that. Can't do it. It's going to be bad, Abdul. And he said, Your Excellency, but why do you send me a picture of my house? Oh, did I send that to you? I didn't. Did I send you a picture? Did I send you a picture? I don't remember that, Abdul. But and honestly, he was fine. 18 months, not one, they were knocking out our soldiers one by one, especially under Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. They were knocking out our soldiers one by one, snipers. We didn't have one soldier killed, even shot at, in 18 months. And then these guys took over, and big lack of respect. But they had a lot of respect for us during that period. Think of that. Isn't that amazing? Not one soldier was shot at, let alone killed. Nobody killed. But I'm proud to be the first president in decades who started no new wars. And the reason I started no new wars is they respected the people in this room. It's true. You don't want to have wars. I ended wars. I could have been like in a mess like you have right now. You have every place. The whole world is blowing up. You can have World War III if something doesn't happen fast. And that's going to be a world war like no others because of nuclear power and other power that's out there. But we had no wars. Very proud of that. I finished a couple of wars, and I got troops out between Turkey. If you take a look, Turkey and Syria, remember we had 5,000 soldiers in between two armies. And I took them out. I said, wait a minute. I called a couple of generals. I said, how do 5,000 soldiers do when you have one army of 400,000 people, another army of 300,000 people, and they're in the middle? Can they do well? They say, it's not going to be good, sir. I say, get them the hell out of there. That border's been there for 2,000 years. They've been fighting over it. The fake news back there, they hit me hard. They said, he removed. You know what happened? Nothing. They just kept it the way it's been for 2,000 years under different names and saved a lot of lives. Would have been bad, but I did a lot of that. And I was very good at using a telephone. We didn't have to send soldiers and kill everybody, although we had some of that too. You know that with Russia, where they came at us. I said, can't do that. Came at us again. I said, you can't do that. They came at us the third time, and you know what happened? A lot of people don't talk about it, but they know about it, and they learn not to play around with us. They learn that because, again, we are the best. But we're not going to be the best for long if it keeps going like it is right now. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after I win the presidency, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I'll get it settled very fast. I don't want you guys going over there. I don't want you going over there. And I'm the only candidate in this race who can make this promise. I will prevent, this is for the spouses, I will prevent World War III. Nobody else is going to prevent it. You're going to end up in World War III. Look at what's going on right now with Ukraine. They're surging into Russia. Okay? You're going to end up in World War III. And it's going to be a bad one. When I'm president, America will be respected again, respected like never before. They were respected 4 years ago. You know, Viktor Orban from Hungary, prime minister, he's known as a very tough leader, tough man, good man, but a tough man, but one of the toughest in Europe. And they asked him a little while ago, why is it that the whole world is blowing up? He says, because President Trump isn't the president of the United States. If he were the president of the United States, none of this stuff would be happening right now. None of it at all. And I believe that's true. That's true. For that to have happened is crazy. I'll take immediate action to restore our depleted military. You know, we don't have any ammunition again. Do you remember when I first came in? They said, sir, right? I see that guy. Sounds like you were pretty much involved with trying to fill it up. I like that guy. I don't know who the hell he is. Stand up. Let me see. Stand up. He's like central casting. But come on, stand up right there. That's good. I like that guy. It's true, though. True. We had no ammunition. I took over. They came to me, sir, how are we doing militarily? We have a problem, sir. What is it? We have no ammunition. That's a lousy thing. You know, you're running a country, we got enemies. And, you know, if you have the smart president, you'll be able to do fine. But you don't want to tell your enemy you have no ammunition. I don't want to tell President Xi of China we don't have ammunition. But before that, they came out with a report, before I got there, saying that the United States has no ammunition. I said, who would release a report like this? Even if it's true, you don't talk about it, right? We do a lot of reports that are stupid reports, like a report that came out a couple of weeks ago that we would lose in a war with China. You saw that report? We're not going to lose in a war with China. That we would lose in a war with China. How stupid are these people that would put a report like that? If you feel we're a little weak, you got to strengthen it up. But you don't do reports that we're going to lose to China in a war. Stupid people do that, like the people that are in office right now. So I had, and you will say it, I had ammunition. We had so much it was coming out of our gills, right? I had ammunition. Oh, I said, what the hell do we do with all this ammunition? We had so much. And now we don't have ammunition again. We gave it all away to different groups, but mostly into Ukraine. And we don't have ammunition. We had so many missiles, we didn't know if we could fire them all. We had to hire teams of people, even the concept. We had so much. Warehouses were full. We took new warehouses. And now we're back to a point where we have no ammunition again. These people are just so destructive. So, you know, I always look for good words. Highly sophisticated. I'm highly educated. I like sophisticated words, but there's only one word I get. Stupid. They're stupid people. I'd like to say, I guess you could say incompetent. Sounds maybe a little better. I don't know. Which is better, being stupid or being incompetent? Because they're both. So we have no ammunition again, but we'll get it taken care of. Boy, oh boy. Can you imagine if they wanted to go after us? Can you imagine that? And we're saying they have no ammunition. This was just released a little while ago. We give so much of it away. We never get anything for it either. You know, Europe, by the way, is much more and should be much more concerned, obviously, with the Ukraine situation than us. But we've spent $150 billion more. Why do we spend $150 billion? Why aren't they going to equalize? They should equalize. I told them, I said, you got to equalize. They don't like, you know, then I read, Barack Obama is much more popular than Donald Trump. Of course he is. He said, we'll spend all the money. I say, you got to pay up. And that's what happened. I got NATO to pay up hundreds of billions of dollars. But then, now we've lost it again because I'll bet you nobody's ever asked Europe to pay up. They don't even ask. I'll bet you that nobody said to Europe, we're 150 billion more than you. They have about the same size economy when you add all of the different nations up as us. And nobody has said to them, got to pay up. I did that. I was with NATO. They were way behind. Of the 28 nations, almost all of them were not paid. Other than that, they were doing quite nicely, thank you. But we had like 7 that were paid, and the rest weren't. And Obama came in, made a speech. Bush came in, made a speech. I came in and said, you guys owe us a lot of money because we were spending our money. So think of it. They take advantage of us on trade because they are horrible to us on trade, the European nations, horrible. They don't take our farm products. When was the last time you saw a Chevrolet in the middle of Germany? Maybe never. I said to Angela, do you have any Chevrolets or Fords in the middle of Munich? No, I don't think so. But we have plenty of Mercedes-Benzes and BMWs and Volkswagens, millions and millions of cars. So they get us in the military, and then they get us on trade. So on top of everything else, it's not a good way. So I was straightening it all out. It was getting straightened out very quickly. And very interesting, though, I said, who would do this? Who would do this? Hundreds of billions of dollars we lose in the defense of Europe. All I say is, let's equalize, we'll help you. But you owe us $150 billion. And during one meeting, I remember NATO, one of the heads of one of the countries, I won't embarrass him by saying which one, but we had 28 countries gathered around the table. It was sort of a semi-secret meeting, which nothing's secret in this world, but some of the press didn't want to report it because it was a good story. But one of the leaders stood up and said, so does that mean he wasn't paid? He owed us billions. Does that mean if we don't pay you, you're not going to defend us against Russia? I said, that's what it means. Are you saying you're delinquent? Well, I don't know about that word. That's a real estate word. Very simple word. It means you're not paid. You're saying you're delinquent. Yes, let's say we're delinquent. Will you defend us? I said, absolutely not. I took so much heat from the fake news media. Now, if I said, yes, I will defend you, they're not going to pay. What happened is hundreds of billions of dollars came pouring in. Because I said that, hundreds of billions of dollars came pouring in. And they have money, but this should not be happening. This mess that's going on over there now is very dangerous, and it shouldn't be happening. I'm the one that got them the money. Literally hundreds of billions of dollars came right in. Guys that were not paying for years, but other presidents never even asked them for the money. They'd make a speech and leave. I was getting ready to make a speech. I said, let me see some statements. I looked at them and said, nobody's paying. We paid for everybody. We were keeping it solvent. One of my proudest achievements in my first term was to create Space Force, the first new branch of the armed forces in over 70 years. It's a big deal. Now that Space Force is up and running, I agree with your leadership. You want this very badly, but I agree that the time has come to create a Space National Guard as the primary combat reserve of the U.S. Space Force. Very good. Right? Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So as president, I will sign historic legislation creating a Space National Guard into law. I spoke to somebody that's a great guy, very much a fan of yours, Marco Rubio. I said, what do you think? He said, I love this. I love it. I love it. So we're going to do that. Space Force has been very important, very, very important. When I did that, the other people came in. They wanted to end it, and they were just hammered because people realized how important. We were getting just destroyed in space, and now we're leading. We are leading with all of the major metrics in space. Russia and China were killing us because we didn't really have a focus on it. And once you did that, we have a focus, and now we're leading in space. Throughout the armed forces, we will make a historic investment in building a U.S. military for the 21st century, investing heavily in drones, robotics, artificial intelligence, hypersonics. You know, hypersonics was us. Somebody stole the stuff, and Russia ended up making them. But we're making them now. But Russia ended up making that super speed missiles. They go about 7 times faster than a regular missile, which is quite fast. And we're going to build a great Iron Dome for missile defense around our nation. Other countries have it. Israel has it. You know, Ronald Reagan wanted this many years ago, but we didn't have the technology at that point. But now we have the technology, so we're going to do the great Iron Dome, and it's all going to be built in our country. We're going to build it right here. And as your commander-in-chief, I will ensure that the National Guard members have access to train on the same state-of-the-art equipment as active duty forces. We're going to make sure about that. And I'll also get you reinforcement for allies abroad, making them pull their weight. They have to do that, and they have to pay their fair share, as I was saying. And for years, all of these NATO countries spent far less than 2% of GDP on their militaries, leaving our forces overstretched. We were the ones making up the difference and paying for it. To make up for shortfalls and help deter threats, I'll insist that every NATO nation must spend at least 3%. You have to go up to 3%. 2% is the steal of the century, especially when we're paying for it. You know, we pay for them. It's just not even believable. For most NATO countries, this will represent a defense budget increase of about 30%. And of course, if you take a look at their numbers are starting to dwindle because of all the money they're spending in Ukraine. Starting on day one, I will confront the recruiting, retention, and moral. When you talk about the crisis that you have a morale crisis, because I think it's a country crisis. I think morale is about the leader of the country. I really do. I think, you know, you can only do so much. They have to be proud of their leader. They have to be proud of their country. They have to believe in their country. They have to believe in the American dream. You're going to have a morale problem, and that's what you have. You have a morale problem. We will get critical race theory and left-wing gender insanity out of the armed forces and totally out of the United States military. And we'll take care of our amazing veterans better than anybody. In my first term, I gave the VA choice and made it permanent. You know, VA choice, where you don't have a doctor, you go outside. I mean, people were waiting for 4 months, for 5 months. You people probably know it. You have friends that know it very well. They go in for something that was not a big deal and that end up being terminally ill because they couldn't get to see a doctor. So I created and have VA choice. They've been wanting to do it for 57 years. I got it done, passed in Congress. And as you know, they now go in, if they can't get rapid service, we call it rapid service, then they go to an outside doctor, they get themselves fixed up, and we pay the bill. And it's been great. It's been great. But I understand that Biden wants to terminate it. He wants to go back to the old system where you wait for 9 months and then you die. It's not even believable. No, they want to terminate it. Now, after this speech, they won't. You know, every time I come in and say what really bad things, they end up, like I said, no tax on tips. It caught on like crazy. No tax on tips. This doesn't affect you guys. You're not big for tips, okay? You don't need tips. But there are a lot of people that no tax on tips is a big deal. And I said, no tax on tips. I went 2-3 months. All of a sudden, she's making a speech. And they were just the opposite. They were going after tip income, which is pretty hard to go after, in all fairness. And she's making a speech. She goes, oh, and by the way, no tax on tips. And it didn't play well for her. But they do that. Now on VA choice, you watch what's going to happen. They'll end up saying, oh, we want to keep VA choice. But they don't. They're not competent, and they don't. But VA choice has been One of the great, and the other is VA accountability. Do you know what that is? VA accountability. The veterans had some horrible, horrible people in there, sadists, bad people. They treated our veterans very badly because they weren't in prime time. You know, in prime time they wouldn't have talked to them that way, but they weren't in prime time, and they were sadists and a lot of other things. Thousands, 9,000 of them, and it was a shocking act of betrayal. We had to fire. We fired 9,000 people that were bad, and we replaced them with good people. And then Kamala and Biden gutted those reforms after they got in, and they tried to reinstate many of the people that were fired for good reason, because they weren't treating our veterans. They were sadists in many cases, vicious people. And then they gave them the option to come back or get a massive $200 million buyout. Can you believe this? Of people that treated our veterans badly. You know, I had the highest number, 92% approval from our veterans. It's the highest number by far ever. Now it's in the 40s. And it didn't take long to get there, but we had 92% approval rate from our veterans. Upon my inauguration, we will take the sadists that Kamala Harris let in and escort them from the VA hospitals and get them the hell out of our federal buildings and away from our great men and women. Because those who mistreat our veterans will not be protected. They will be terminated. We're going to terminate them. We're going to get them out. Can't believe we have to do it. It's like I have to say it a second time. Under Kamala Harris, American veterans are treated worse by far than illegal aliens. Illegal aliens are treated. You ever see them? They stay in hotels. We have veterans sleeping on the street, and inside luxury hotels you have people that came into our country, many from prisons, many from mental institutions, many terrorists, and they are treated better than our veterans. They don't care about our veterans. As borders are, Kamala has spent over $1 billion of taxpayer money to house illegal aliens and foreign migrants in some of the most expensive housing and hotels anywhere in the country. Meanwhile, more than 41,000 homeless American veterans are living in squalor on our streets. I mean, I hope you people are going to remember this, because it's terrible. What's going on is terrible. You know, we become the Republican, I call it the party of common sense. We want to have strong borders. We want to have fair elections. Like, it would be nice if somebody votes and the vote actually counts, you know, little things like that. But we got to have borders. We can't let millions of people come into a country. I called it an invasion. You know, I got the wall built by using military funds. I said, our country is being invaded. And I was able to do it. We won 11 lawsuits. Everybody sued me. Crazy Nancy Pelosi sued me. She was always saying, she's crazy as a bedbug, that one. She's nuts. She's a nut. But at least Joe Biden likes her a lot. No, I don't think so. Think he's angry? He fights for a year and a half in a primary system. He ends up getting 14 million votes. And they have somebody that didn't get one vote. She was out, let out sooner than anybody. She never made Iowa the first state, never made it. She was the first one out of 22 people to quit. And she's now the nominee of the party. I mean, explain this, please. When I take office, I will sign an executive order to stop every penny that Harris has been spending on the shelter and transport of illegal aliens, and we will redirect that money to provide shelter and treatment for homeless American veterans. And we will end very rapidly veterans' homelessness in America. We had it down to a level that was the lowest in a long time. We would have had it knocked out, but we were interrupted. As you know, Kamala's border invasion has directly impacted thousands of National Guard families. I'll tell you what, African-American families, Hispanic American families, their jobs are being taken, unrelated to you, but their jobs are being taken. What's happening at our border, and she's in charge. And now she sort of said, well, I wasn't really involved too much with the border. I wasn't involved. And even better, now she's saying, oh, well, we actually had strong borders. You know, if they say it enough, even though we had probably 20 million people, more than 20 million people. But they figure if you say it over and over again, our borders were strong, our borders were strong, and these are people that are not into it, maybe like us, maybe like me, certainly. Nobody's into it like me. I had a nice life until I did this, you know that? I had a nice, very beautiful life, but I wouldn't change it. They said, would you have done it again? I said, absolutely, because we're going to make America great again. We already did, and we're going to do it again. But last Thanksgiving, thank you. Last Thanksgiving, I visited the southern border near McAllen, Texas, where patriots of the Texas National Guard were doing the job that Harris refused to do. She refused to do it. In fact, when our guardsmen put up razor wire and buoys to stop illegal crossings, Kamala and Joe Biden, Crooked Joe, sued to take those defenses down. You know that, right? How about where they say, no, we have a strong border, they don't, it's so bad. But then we find out that they flew almost 1 million people in over the border. They flew. That stops all of their, I shouldn't say this, because if there's a debate, it would be nice to surprise you with that one. They flew. They have an answer to everything. Well, we decided, look, they flew almost 1 million people into our country. Our country can't handle it. No country can handle it. Our country's going to go bankrupt. No country can handle it. They're taking over the schools. They're taking over the hospitals. They're taking over everything. And they're getting jobs that were taken by other people that are not too happy. But think of it. They flew almost 1 million people over everything because they were saying about how strong the border. But then they say, well, what about the 1 million people you flew? They have no answer for that one yet, but they'll come up with one. They always have an answer. I want to salute every Guard member who has deployed as part of Operation Lone Star to defend America from her migrant invasion. It's what it is, including those from Texas, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Idaho, Iowa, Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, or as they say, Missouri. I love Missouri. I love that state. They do say it that way. Never quite understood that, but I say it that way because I won by 25 points, so I say it that way. It's true. Utah, Tennessee, Montana, Nebraska, Indiana, and New Hampshire. Every one of them. I want to thank them all. Thank them all. And do not lose hope, because a few months from now, you're once again going to have a commander-in-chief who defends the sovereign borders of the United States above all else. We have to. And together we'll stop the human traffickers, which are horrible. They traffic in women, mostly, and children, but women mostly. And because of the Internet, it's big business. It's big business. It's going to be bigger than the drug business, they think. The Internet has caused a problem. You know, you think of it almost as an ancient crime, right? Human trafficking. Who would imagine? But because of the Internet, it's a big business. And we had it down to the smallest number in 42 years, and now they come along and it's going at a level. They stuff women into the back of cars, and they stuff them into trunks and bring them around and make a lot of money, and we allow it to happen. We'll defeat the child smugglers. We'll crush the cartels. And on day one, I will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of our country, because we have to get the criminals from jails. They're releasing their prisoners into our country. They're releasing their guard. You got to see MS-13, the worst gangs in the world, MS-13. They're collecting them and dropping them into the United States. I moved out thousands and thousands of them. They're moving them into the United States. They're coming back. They're taking their drug dealers, their criminals, their murderers. In Venezuela, crime is down 72% because they've gotten their gang members. They're dropping them all into our country, many countries. And I'm not just talking about South America. All over the world, they're dropping their criminals into our country. They're emptying their jails and they're emptying their prisons into our country. I mean, how stupid can we be? What are we doing? And we're going to have a crime wave, the likes of which you haven't seen. You see it every day now in paper where a person from such and such a country is was violent, like at levels that nobody's ever seen before. You don't have to hear it, but at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But what it is doing is it's making these countries, and I'm not blaming them. If you can get away with it, I'd be doing it. If I were the president of such an, I would have done better than them. My prisons would be totally empty. They're emptying their prisons. They're taking their worst people. They're taking the murderers, drug dealers. They're dropping them. They're taking them and busing them into the United States and dropping them. And they're saying, if you come back, we're going to kill you. And these people aren't worried about being killed. They're tough. There's a tough group of people. And we've got them. And nothing good is going to come out of that. And that includes a lot of terrorists. Your choice in this election is between a president who will always have your back and a radical liberal who will never, ever, ever have your back, whether you like it or not. In 2020, when the left-wing mobs came from all over to burn our cities to the ground, Kamala stood with the looters and rioters and raised money to bail out violent criminals all over the jails of Minnesota. She came with money to bail them out. Kamala's running mate, his nickname is Tampon, Tim, but I wouldn't say that, because this group is a little more low-key than the ones I'm used to speaking before. Tampon, Tim, Waltz, he wanted to think of this. He signed a bill mandating that every boy's bathroom has tampons in it. I don't think that's good. It's not good. He ignored the pleas of the mayor and the police chief to deploy the National Guard in Minneapolis and said, you're not highly trained soldiers, you're 19-year-olds who cook. That's what he said. You're 19-year-olds who cook. That's a pretty famous statement. As president, I stood with the National Guard as you saved Minneapolis, saved Kenosha, and saved Washington, D.C. I saved them. If I didn't override what they wanted to do and what tradition is, those places would have been, we would have lost every monument in Washington. You know, they came into Washington and they were very rambunctious. They liked to pull the statues down, some of these beautiful statues. And then they hit Abraham Lincoln. I said, all right, that's the end of that. And I found there was a bill from the early 1900s. We don't do bills like that anymore. This said, if you touch government property, statues, monuments of any kind, you will serve 10 years with no probation, no early getting out. You go to jail for 10 years. Very simple. It was beautifully stated. It was like one paragraph. And it had dust on it. It was dusty. Nobody used it because we wouldn't do that because we become very soft. They only go after political opponents. They don't do anything like murderers. Those guys are safe. Drug dealers, no problem. But political opponents, they go after. So this was in very bad. It was a very old bill. And I had a news conference, and they were all over. They wanted to take down the Thomas Jefferson, the Jefferson Memorial. They wanted to take it down. They were heading that way. They were actually heading that way. We had them all stopped. But they were heading that way. It's like fighting a war. And I went out to a news conference. I announced anybody that touches any of our monuments or statues goes to jail for 10 years. Everybody left Washington, D.C. I was very lonely. They all left. I watched them. I watched their asses from the back. They were all, that's all I could see is thousands of asses. And that stopped. We got to stop. We got to stop quickly. They all left immediately, and they haven't come back, although the other day you see them starting to do it again. They're taking the spray paint and they're spraying those gorgeous limestone tigers and all of the different things. You know, when you spray limestone, you'll see it in 100 years from now because it's a very porous stone. And they were spraying the hell out of it. And they were burning the American flag. I want to get a law passed. Everyone tells me, oh, sir, it's very hard. You burn an American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. Got to do it. We got to do it. They say it's not constitutional. They say, sir, that's unconstitutional. We'll make it constitutional. We're going to make it constitutional. But you burn an American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. That was terrible, what happened at the convention in Chicago. They're burning American flags all over the place, and the fake news doesn't want to show it. I will proudly stand with you in defense of law and order And we're going to have 4 great years in the White House. We're going to make our country very special again. I know your commitment. I know your character in conclusion. And I know your courage. As president, I saw it every year during natural disaster and national emergency. And just a few weeks ago, we saw it in the moments after an evil assassin tried to take my life. That sucker was moving fast. I said, wow. Glad I got down quickly. But it was quite a time. It was quite a thing. Who would think? But that day, a member of the Pennsylvania Air National Guard was in the second row watching as the bullets flew, when the shots rang out and hit a great patriot, Corey. We know now Corey by his first name, Corey. The Pennsylvania Guardsman did not shy away. He did not run for cover. He ran toward the gunshots, took off his tie to use as a tourniquet, and cradled Corey's head in his hands, and it was a tough scene. Corey died, as you know. 2 other people were hit very badly, were supposed to die, and the doctors up there did a phenomenal job. They're living and they're doing okay. And although he tragically could not revive Corey, he did what every guardsman here would have done. And it was a tough thing he did, to be honest. I saw that. It was a tough thing he did. Tremendous courage. Not only the bullets, I mean, just the fact he was holding this guy who really got hit. He really got hit. But he gave his all, and he was very proud to do it. America is blessed to have such extraordinary patriots, as are all of the people in this room. You put your service above yourself, and when our country needs you, you always answer the call. I know that very much. I know the people here. That's the spirit of duty and loyalty that defines the men and women of the National Guard, and it's the spirit that is going to save our country, because our country needs saving. With your support in this election, we will reclaim our sovereignty. We will rebuild our military. We will support our police. We will stop migrant crime, which is at levels that nobody can even imagine. We will restore our economy. We will get rid of inflation. We will protect our Second Amendment. We will lift up our cities. We will secure our rights, and we will defend our freedoms like we have never defended our freedoms before. And we will fight, fight, fight for America. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, just in closing, you've never let me down, never. You've always been there for me when we had emergencies, when we had a crisis, and I'm going to always be there for you, and I can promise you this, together we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Young man, there's no need to feel down. I said, young man.
An absolutely wonderful speech there by President Trump, speaking for about an hour and 5 minutes there, Bobby, there in Detroit, Michigan.
And the news of today, former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, the Hawaii Congresswoman and military bravery, a wonderful veteran herself, endorsing President Donald Trump.
So we saw a lot of news today, of course. President Trump starting out the day at Arlington National Cemetery and then on his way there to Detroit in front of that packed crowd there at that National Guard conference. We want to thank you guys so much for joining us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's going to be a very busy week. We'll get to those program notes here in a second, but we do want to thank our friends at the Birch Gold Group. All you have to do is text Trump to 989898 for more information on gold, silver, and precious metals. And also this month only, a free fight silver coin if you buy any products there at the Birch Gold Group.
A wonderful group that wants to help you if you need to change your 401k or IRA into tangible metals, silvers, golds. Of course, the free fight silver coin with any purchase from Birch Gold, a new item of theirs. Fight for your retirement. Text Trump to 989898. I think that coin is going to be worth something very, very soon.
Definitely, and always good to have gold, silver, and precious metals. And we have Tax Network USA.
And it's a wonderful organization that makes sure you are not overpaying in your taxes. Call the Patriots over at Tax Network USA with over 14 years of experience in tax law, with experience in all 50 states as well. This is the group to go to. Call 800-357-1415, taxnetworkusa.com/RSBN.
And then speaking of another .com, MakeCareGreatAgain.com is with the wellness company. So ivermectin, amoxicillin, a Z-Pak, other medications. You go through the proper medical form to fill out, and then you can get these medications sent to you with an emergency kit or a contagion kit as well. So a lot of things to get there with MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Use that promo code RSBN for more information.
Dr. Peter McCullough doing an amazing job with that organization. There is a bird flu summit coming up in October, so prepare yourself for the unpredictable, things eerily reminiscent to what happened in 2020 and 2021 with COVID-19. So protect you and your family. MakeCareGreatAgain.com.
And up next, the free Trump book. All you have to do is go to freetrumpbook.com for more information. Bobby, a great book for not only youth, but I think everybody. It's always good to get a refresher on all things America.
Well, and look, you have the other side that's trying to take credit for President Trump's no tax on tips, no tax on senior citizens and their Social Security. Kamala Harris now taking at least the no tax on tips line as if it was her idea, and fake news corporate CBS saying that was the case, but we know what the truth is, that President Trump supported that. So it's important for future voters and children in your home to know what President Trump stands for and what real American history is, especially with all the book banning on the other side. freetrumpbook.com.
Again, truth versus lies, so we know which one stands for truth here. American Financing is also a great sponsor. $854 a month you can save by working with American Financing. You see that number on your screen. Give them a call. Always good to save that kind of money. Also, MyPillow, 80% off. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Mike Lindell was on the show earlier today. Quite a fun interview, but also very serious and somber interview in some ways as well. But 80% off all kinds of great products over there at MyPillow. You said you have a few products as well.
I do. I love the MyPillows, the pillows specifically, but you can get the down comforters, you can get the slippers, the towels as well. Mike Lindell doing a great American service, a great master marketer, and traveling all around the country, very similar to what President Trump is doing on Trump Force One, getting that message out for election integrity and trying to break bread with, Democrats as well. And that's been a big theme of this telecast, is the unity message coming from the Trump campaign and from Trump surrogates like Mr. Mike Lindell, without a mustache, but hopefully it's growing back soon.
Exactly. So if you need to know more information about that, you can read about why Mike shaved his mustache from last week at the DNC. But moving on now to the donating here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So we thank the sponsors, but we also thank you guys so much for anything you can do to help. You're looking at RSBN to 801-801. So just text RSBN to 801-801 for any assistance you'd like to share with us. If not, that's okay. Thanks for watching. We're so proud to have everyone watching here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We also have the newsletter. So rsbnetwork.com/newsletter is something you can get in your email inbox. A lot of stories, a lot of the rally coverage, all the events, everything you need is in that newsletter as well. You can also follow us on Truth Social and a number of other social media platforms, including X, where we just surpassed 1 million followers. That's a lot of hard work from 2015 all the way until now and beyond. So any closing statements today, Bobby? I mean, today's been right out of the gate of the 24/7 news cycle, just a lot of news.
Right. Well, you know, I'm looking at this now. I'm looking at both major campaigns, their platforms, DonaldJTrump.com. You can go right to the platform, the 20 Promises to America, Agenda 47. That was adopted at the RNC in middle of July. But then I go over to the Harris campaign, KamalaHarris.com. Nothing in regards to any policy platforms. Very interesting places to donate. Her background, Governor Tim Walz's background, but nothing concrete on what they're actually planning to do for America. And this seems to be going with this theme of not having press conferences, not doing interviews, skipping out on debates, hiding from the American people, trying to, I guess, run a campaign like they did 4 years ago, putting President Biden in the basement and just hoping that works out. But, you know, there is no pandemic, at least right now. So at some point, they're going to have to come out and campaign and actually challenge President Trump on the issues that made America great and will make America great again.
So 15 days from now is a debate between the GOAT of debates, President Trump, taking on Harris on Fake News ABC. Of course, that'll be quite interesting on that day. And to your point, hide in Harris and hide in Walz. That's what they're doing. That's the game plan on the left. They don't want to be exposed for all of the corruption and all of the negative things they would want to do to this country, even though their actions have already spoken louder than their words over the past years of being a governor in Minnesota for Walz and Harris as a alleged VP here in our country. So we already know kind of where they're headed, but definitely no platform. So a great point there on their website. Coming up, a busy week of coverage here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. On Thursday, President Trump will return to Michigan and then Wisconsin that day. So a RSBN doubleheader on Thursday. Then on Friday, another RSBN doubleheader. A Trump rally in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and then a speech in D.C. that night. So 48 hours of a lot of coverage, Bobby.
Right, and some hometown magic for you, as it'll be going back to Pennsylvania, the campaign, a pivotal state and one crucial for the Trump coalition, and be interesting to see what he talks about that day. I'm assuming a lot of this focus this week will be on the economy. We've seen several speeches recently on national security, on strength. Of course, today we remember the 13 service members who sadly passed away because of Joe Biden's failed foreign policy and the botched exit from Afghanistan. President Trump remembering them, visiting the tomb of the unknown soldier today, as well at Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C., before visiting the National Guard up in Detroit, Michigan. Kid Rock introducing him, which is always fun to bring that flavor and flair. That's his hometown up in beautiful Michigan. And an interesting time for the campaign. We're 72 days away. It's getting close.
It's getting very close as well. So we do know, again, that rally in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So it's an indoor arena, going to be an awesome, loud crowd, of course. And then we're still waiting for the campaign to make an announcement for the October Butler, PA rally. But at the end of the day, a lot of events, a lot of rallies. We're here for you at Right Side Broadcasting Network. For the great Bobby McNeely, I'm, according to Bobby, the magnificent Matthew Alvarez. Thank you, sir.
It's true.
Thank you. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we love you, America. We'll see you later.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk. Don't forget to catch the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show right here on RSBN. That's right, RSBN. Now that's Right Side Broadcasting Network. Okay? See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, TPUSA, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.